Chapter 34-23. Jiang Chen stretched out his hand and grasped Wu Ningzhu tightly. Meanwhile, Yan Qingqing held Wu Ningzhu's hand on the other side. "Let's go." Just when Jiang Chen and Yan Qingqing and Wu Ningzhu were about to leave, Lin Yokong's body trembled. He transmitted his voice. "Someone from Tongxian Mansion sent a message," he said. "Helian is in trouble." Jiang Chen's body trembled. His complexion became somewhat gloomy. "Helian. It must be you are." Dongxing Divine Region, Divine Wind Valley, Mountain of Will. Continuous green mountains, towering waterfalls, ancient trees, and the cries of birds, beasts, and apes filled the valley. Countless red-crowned cranes danced under the waterfalls and in the clear spring. The water was like a tide, and the birds were singing in harmony. There were many dense forests in the mountain. Layers of bamboo shadows could be seen. The mountains and fields were covered with flowers and grass. The bright moon shone through the pine trees. The clear spring flowed above the rocks. The moonlight was like a golden dipper, and the light and shadow were like red lotus. Between the mountain and the clear spring, a beautiful figure was dancing alone in the valley. She was graceful under the moonlight, giving off a feeling of self-pity. The sword in her hand was as cold as frost. Her complexion was like jade. The young lady and the figure moved together, jumping continuously under the moonlight. They were like the spirits of the mountain, lively and quick-witted. The huge mountain of will, 3,000 miles of rivers, 3,000 miles of pines, 3,000 miles of bamboo, 3,000 miles of lonely clouds, still couldn't hide the petite and quick-witted figure. She was at the same level as the mountain and shone with the bright moon. The young lady's sword intent was ice-cold. Her aura was steady. She gave off a feeling that a woman was not inferior to a man. That kind of unbridled grace was like the flow of water. She advanced and retreated gracefully, like a gentle breeze, without any ripples. Gradually, the sword in the girl's hand became sharper and sharper. The unparalleled sword intent seemed to drive the determination and stubbornness in her heart, causing her to become more and more disordered. She felt more and more flustered and impatient, as if she wanted to break through the cage of the world. On the bank of the flower embankment, two young men in white robes stood with their hands clasped behind their back. They looked at the young lady performing her sword dance and sighed in their hearts. One of them had a hook-like figure while the other had a picturesque figure. However, it was undeniable that these two young men in white robes were extremely powerful. Their appearances were extremely good as well. They were filled with a sense of suaveness and elegance. As long as a woman took a look at them, she would never be willing to forget them. "Zhang Yang, what do you think she will choose?" one of the white-clothed young men said in a low voice. There was a complicated look in his eyes, but he did not know how to persuade the girl in the river, who was intertwined with the shadow of the moon and the clear spring. His mind raced, but he became more and more hesitant, not knowing what to do. "Who knows? We're not her. We can't choose for her, and we can't change anything for her. All of this is fate, the will of the heavens. No matter what, she can't change it. This is the will of the heavens. Even if it's the patriarch, I'm afraid he can't do anything about it, right?" The young man called Zhang Yang shook his head and sighed. When he looked at the young lady again, he shrugged his shoulders helplessly, as if he was completely unable to change her mind. The only thing he could do at this moment was to silently look at the stubborn figure in the river. However, he was powerless and couldn't change anything. "That's true. I was a little too arrogant. Even she doesn't have a choice. What can we do?" Feng Chao shook his head and sighed. He seemed to have become silent. They couldn't change anything in front of them. They could only choose to follow the will of the heavens. No one would change for the sake of that young lady. Just like the heavens, day after day, year after year, it would never change for a single person. She would rather die 9 times without regrets than to bow her head to fate. "This isn't like the people of our Helian clan." Helian Zhang Yang smiled. However, he also felt some sympathy for the young lady in the clear spring. But what could he do? He could only silently stand behind her. It was easy to like someone, but it wasn't so easy to change the world for her. Helian Feng Chao also nodded. He knew that the two of them couldn't do anything. Even the clan head couldn't change the decision of the ancestors. Moreover, the clan had always followed the ancient teachings. Who could change their original intentions? All they could do was to silently be bystanders. There were many things that they didn't even dare to think about. They couldn't change anything. They could only accept fate. Although they didn't believe in it, they had to follow fate at all times. This was the fate of the Hellion clan. Right now, the clan head and the 5 great elders are probably unable to restrain their anger. It's just that I don't know how long she can persist. No matter what, she is a member of the Hellion clan. She has to be prepared to sacrifice herself for the Hellion clan. Moreover, it's not like she's going to die. Hellion Zhongyang was also extremely curious about that young lady. What was it that she couldn't bear to part with? It was something that she couldn't forget. She even disregarded the ancient teachings of the clan. However, her strength was still there. If she wanted to defy the fate of the clan, she was destined to die. There are some people and some things that can't be missed once they are missed. I think she should also be unable to forget her past. Once we enter the profound gate, we can do a lot of things. However, we can't do anything. Looking at the current situation, I reckon that the 5 great elders are already furious. Hellion Fengchao smiled. Aren't you worried about her? Hellion Zhongyang asked. Aren't you the same? As the 2 peerless geniuses of the Hellion clan, we can't do anything. Who do you think can change everything? What's the use of worrying? The outcome is still something we can't change. Being born in the Hellion clan is a kind of fortune. However, it's also a kind of sorrow. Hellion Fengchao sighed. His eyes were solemn. He stared at the young lady in the clear spring for a full minute before leaving. This pair of peerless geniuses of the Hellion clan were like fire and water. It was the first time that they were so harmonious. Because the person they were facing was Hellion Yu, whom they deeply loved. However, at this moment they were all powerless. They could only watch Hellion Yu follow the decision of fate. It was destined that she would not be able to let go of it. That was why she was so resistant. No one knew when the clan would be completely enraged. At that moment, the outcome that no one could change would become a reality. Yu, I hope you can let go of it. Otherwise, those guys will definitely not let you go. Chapter 34-24. In the Wind God Valley, the sound of the wind was like a curtain. It was beautiful. As the headquarters of the Hellion clan, it had an extremely strong influence in the Dongsheng Divine region. Its position was not any weaker than the sword-drawing sect in the Central Region Divine Land. Moreover, as one of the top 10 sects in the Dongsheng Divine region, the Hellion clan had been passed down for hundreds of millions of years. It could be said to be one of the most ancient clans, the living fossil of the Dongsheng Divine region. It stood in the Dongsheng Divine region, towering and unreachable. In the Wind God Valley, hundreds of birds paid homage to the phoenix. The main hall was located above the Wind God Valley. Pillars that supported the sky surrounded the main hall, standing in the middle of the mountain. Hidden in the clouds, there were layers of cloud ladders that led to the Hellion clan's Heavenly Prayer Palace. The Heavenly Prayer Palace was the highest standard palace in the Hellion clan. Those below the Hierarch realm were not allowed to step into the Heavenly Prayer Palace. They were not even qualified to step into the clouds of the Wind God Valley. In the Hellion clan, the hierarchy was very strict. The disciples of the clan were not any weaker than the sections. Moreover, this ancient clan that had been passed down since ancient times attached great importance to the ancient teachings. Since then, it had its own principles and meaning. Countless sects gradually declined when they passed down their inheritance. The Hellion clan was able to be a super sect in the divine world since ancient times. Just based on this point alone, many ancient sects and clans could not catch up to them. Even the ancient sects like the Eastern Emperor sect had gradually declined. From this, it could be seen that the Hellion clan's strength was extraordinary. In the main hall, 5 elders with strong auras were discussing. Their faces were extremely solemn as they argued endlessly. These 5 people had not gathered for 100 or even 1,000 years. However, as soon as they met, they quarreled non-stop, expressing their own opinions in the Heavenly Prayer Palace. I think this girl will not shed a tear until she sees the coffin. As a member of the Hellion clan, she should always have the awareness of sacrificing her life for the Hellion clan. However, she is so stubborn. Isn't she clearly going against our Hellion clan? What's the use of keeping such disciples and disciples? An old man with a long beard harumphed in a domineering manner. You can't say it like that. Third brother, our Hellion clan hasn't had a disciple as talented as you are for a very long time. Even Zhang Yang and Feng Chao were barely able to fight against Yuer. If we do it like that, wouldn't we have to break one of our arms? Although Yu-Er's heart is filled with unwillingness right now, we can slowly teach her, slowly educate her. He was even more powerful than the long-bearded old man. He was the Hellion clan's second elder, Hellion Zhongyu. Second brother, your words don't conform to the rules of our Hellion family. As the saying goes, without rules, nothing can be accomplished. How did our Hellion family stand on the peak of the divine world for billions of years? Didn't they rely on the ancient teachings of being impartial and impartial? Our Hellion family needs to be meticulous. We can't tolerate even the slightest grain of sand in our eyes. However, you said that we've been indulging that little girl. Do you want to abolish the ancient teachings that have been passed down for billions of years? If we want to uphold the ancient teachings, we must punish her severely. She can do whatever she wants. Does she think that we, the ancestors, don't exist? Humph. The fourth brother, Hellion Chongha, sneered with a hint of disdain in his eyes. He didn't dare to agree with Hellion Zhongyu's words at all. The moment those words were spoken, the black-robed elder, Hellion Zhongyu, and Hellion Chongha stared at each other with sharp gazes. The two of them seemed to have completely forgotten their identities. Harmony breeds wealth. Harmony breeds wealth. Ha ha ha, the reason why our Hellion family can maintain its prosperity is because we are united. Moreover, there are no parasites in the family. Everyone is wholeheartedly devoted to the family. If we want our Hellion family to rise to the next level, we must unite as one and face the outside world. Yu-Er's situation is very suitable. We must not act rashly. Everything needs to be planned in the long run. Everyone wants to solve the problem perfectly. However, my two brothers, please calm down first. Unusual matters must be treated with extraordinary measures. Whether it's severe punishment or leniency, everything must be done with the sex benefits as the priority. We've lived for so many years. Are we going to fight because of a child? The fifth elder, Hellion Chongxing, smiled indifferently. His tone was neither servile nor overbearing. He was calm and composed. Although he was the youngest among the fifth elder, his strength was enough to compete with the great elder. The fifth elder is right. This matter needs to be planned in the long run. This concerns whether our Hellion family can become the #1 superfamily in the Dongxing Divine Region. It's not impossible for us to stabilize the Central Region Divine Land. We must not take this lightly. Yu-Er may be a little willful, but she's still a member of our Hellion family. We can't give up so easily. The great elder, Hellion Chongtian, said in a deep voice. Although it wasn't the final word, it at least made everyone quiet down. At this moment, the patriarch is in the critical period of breaking through. Therefore, we must not disturb him. He loves Yu-Er the most. Let's wait until he comes out of seclusion. As soon as the great elder finished his words, the third elder said in a deep voice, "Big brother, this damned girl is stubborn. She used the patriarch's love to run amok. Now that she's trapped in the mountain of will, it's also a kind of fortune for her to wake up. But now that the gate of heaven's will has opened, I'm afraid we can't wait for the patriarch to come out. If we miss the gate of heaven's will, we don't know when it will open again." The great elder also sighed. The gate of heaven's will was in the Hellion family's ancestral land. It was a bronze gate that had been sealed for countless years. Since ancient times, as long as the gate of heaven's will opened, the members of the Hellion family would be able to enter it. Only those who had entered the gate of heaven's will could truly understand the profoundness of the profound heavenly divine mystery, which was also the profoundness of the great divination art. The last descendant of the Hellion family comprehended the profoundness was something that happened hundreds of millions of years ago. Therefore, the opening of the gate of heaven's will was a major event for the entire Hellion family. However, it just so happened that the patriarch of the Hellion family was in seclusion. This time, the patriarch wanted to break through in one go, and it was of utmost importance. Therefore, no one dared to disturb him. Therefore, Yu-Er's situation was in danger at this moment. 3 months. If the patriarch still doesn't come out of seclusion, then we'll carry out the ancient teachings. The first elder also sighed. On one hand, he was helpless. On the other hand, it was for the sake of the entire Hellion clan's prosperity and glory. As the first elder, he was duty-bound. Chapter 34-25. On the continent of the river, a graceful lady is a gentleman's match. The current Yu-Er was even more captivating than Ling Yun in the past. Although Yu-Er was still not Ling Yun's match, That kind of peerless beauty was incomparably moving. Any man who saw her in this world would not be able to sleep soundly at night. She was truly a peerless beauty, a true phoenix among men. Above the clear spring, between the boulders, the young lady sat on the ground. Her legs were like jade, her hair was like pearls, like a fairy in the mountains. Big brother, where are you? Did you see the message that you are sent to you? You are now an expert of a region. I wonder if you still remember that insignificant little girl who followed behind you? You are murmured. Her expression was gloomy, a young lady's melancholy rose in her heart. When Jiang Chen received the news from Tongxian Mansion, he immediately rushed towards the Dongshang divine region. Even though he was already a divine emperor expert, it was still impossible for him to rush to the Dongshang divine region. He would need some time to reach the Dongshang divine region from the northern cold divine region. Jiang Chen did not stop to rest. The three of them traveled in the day and cultivated at night. Even though they were divine emperors, they still needed to rest when they were flying at full speed. Jiang Chen could last for more than a month without sleep and rest, but he might need more time to cultivate after this. The three of them took more than a month to leave the northern cold divine region. However, the shortest way to reach the Dongshang divine region was through the Great Earth divine region. Although the Great Earth divine region was not as big as the northern cold divine region and the Dongshang divine region, it was still a vast divine region. That you are, who is she? Yan Qingqing looked at Jiang Chen Lang and asked. A friend of mine. Jiang Chen said. A friend? What friend? Is she just an ordinary friend or one with a special relationship? Yan Qingqing sneered. This fella's womanizing skills were not ordinary. To her, Jiang Chen was not a good person, yet this fella still showed mercy. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. He did not know how to answer Yan Qingqing. However, she was a little jealous, which made Jiang Chen very happy. Forget it, Qingqing. Don't make things difficult for little Chenzi. He must have his reasons. Wu Ningzhu said in a low voice. Although she didn't say anything, Wu Ningzhu still felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. After all, they didn't know who Yu Er was at all. Moreover, they still had to rush to the Dongshang divine continent at this time. They had to cross provinces to save a person who had nothing to do with them. Moreover, it was a woman. Moreover, both of them were Jiang Chen's legitimate wives. I'm sorry, Sister Ning. Qingqing. I really can't explain too much to you. She's just an inexperienced little girl. Don't overthink it. When I first entered the divine world, if it wasn't for Yu Er and her grandfather, I might have already been eaten by wolves and leopards. Now that Yu Er is in trouble, how can I not go and help her? Jiang Chen smiled bitterly and shrugged his shoulders helplessly. He could not go back on his words at this moment. Moreover, he really liked Yu Er. That sensible and lovable little girl was someone that Jiang Chen and Ling Yun cared for a lot. I didn't overthink it. Let's hurry up. Wu Ningzhu said with a smile. Yan Qingqing was not going to let it go. I hope you're right. That inexperienced little girl. I want to see if she's a vixen. Yan Qingqing's unruly behavior made Jiang Chen speechless. The current her was completely different from the Yan Qingqing who was obedient to him in the past. However, the relationship between the two of them could not be erased. Jiang Chen was willing to wait for the day she changed her mind. The moment Jiang Chen and the others arrived at the Great Earth Divine Region, they were stopped by someone. The Great Earth Divine Region was a 300,000 miles wide blockade. It was actually sealed by a formation. Even Jiang Chen would need at least 10 days to half a month to break out of it. Such a long formation that spanned across the mountains and rivers of the Great Earth was truly unbelievable. What a terrifying formation. This formation that stretches for 300,000 miles is set up by a top-notch formation. What kind of sect is this? What kind of person is this? How could they set up such a huge formation? Jiang Chen couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He was afraid that he would need at least a year to set up this formation, and if he wanted to break through it, he would need at least 10 days to half a month. Jiang Chen didn't have the mood to break the formation now. There's such a change in the Great Earth Divine Region. Looks like we need to find someone to ask. Jiang Chen and Wu Ningzhu entered a city rapidly. They couldn't fly in the sky. It was unknown how long it would take for them to cross the 100,000 miles. Jiang Chen found the guard and gave him 10 mid-grade divine origin stones. Instantly, the guard was extremely excited. He looked at Jiang Chen as if he was the god of fortune. Although Jiang Chen was a divine emperor expert now, he did not like to oppress others with his strength. These divine origin stones were meaningless to him. Moreover, the guards would tell him everything they knew. So why not? Jiang Chen didn't mind it at all. Sir, please instruct me. I will definitely tell you everything I know. The city guard bowed and chuckled. Whoever had the money was the boss. As a city guard, he only earned 3 mid-grade divine origin stones a year. That was almost 3 years of his salary. Let me ask you. There's a formation protecting this 100,000 miles. It's impossible to fly in the sky. What's going on in the Great Earth Divine region? Jiang Chen asked in a low voice. Lord, this is Fuyu City, the territory under the 9th Wangye's jurisdiction. In order to prevent the Long family from invading, he set up an inescapable net here. No expert can pass through the Great Hovering Array. Countless experts have tried to forcefully break through the array, but in the end, they were all annihilated by the array. Although the offensive power of the array isn't too great, its defensive power is extremely terrifying. When things reach an extreme, they will move in the opposite direction. The Great Hovering Array was set up to prevent the Long family from advancing. As for how to break through the formation, I guess you'll have to find the Jiu Wangye. The guard said in a low voice. He looked around with shifty eyes, as if he didn't dare to speak loudly. Jiu Wangye, the Hovering Grand Formation. Interesting. Looks like we really have to find the Jiu Wangye. Jiang Chen said. The Jiu Wangye is in the Yulon city within 100,000 miles. We'll only need 7 or 8 months to reach there. The guard said with a smile. Chapter 34-26. It seemed like the best solution now was to break the formation. Otherwise, he would have to take a longer detour to reach the Dongsheng Divine region. The loss would outweigh the gain. After weighing the pros and cons, Jiang Chen had no choice but to break the formation forcefully. 10 days. I'll try my best to break this formation within 10 days. Otherwise, it's impossible to take a detour. Jiang Chen sighed. This hovering grand formation wasn't too difficult for him. At least at this moment, this was his only option. No matter who it was, Jiang Chen had no choice but to break the formation first. I hope this won't attract more trouble, Yan Qingqing said faintly. Jiang Chen couldn't care less anymore. Breaking the formation as soon as possible was the most important thing. Jiang Chen stepped on the 9 heavens. The source of the formation was struck 3 times. Even a divine emperor expert like him was pushed back by the tremendous force. Jiang Chen's heart became even more solemn. He activated the no-beginning formation and evolved the reincarnation cycle of the formation. Jiang Chen was extremely cautious and solemn. He started to change the formation rapidly and evolved the no-beginning formation. Breaking the formation wasn't something that could be done in a day or 2. Even though Jiang Chen was extremely anxious, he still had to take it one step at a time. 7 days had passed. Jiang Chen was getting more and more excited. His formation had been broken by 70 to 80%. At most 2 days, this formation would be completely broken by him. It won't be long before this hovering grand formation is going to be broken. Jiang Chen smiled faintly. The current him was already a formidable formation master, and he was not afraid of any formation. It was just a matter of time. However, the person who set up this formation might not be any weaker than him. This person must be an extremely powerful formation genius. Jiang Chen smiled faintly. Jiang Chen smiled. However, Jiang Chen didn't care who it was. In order to cross this void, he had to break the formation first. Time passed by. The powerful hovering grand formation was completely broken by Jiang Chen. Above the void, a purple ripple spread out. The entire sky seemed to have become clear at this moment. Jiang Chen's lips curled into a bright smile. They could finally hurry on with their journey. At this moment, in the 9th Wangye's mansion in Yulon City, a middle-aged man in a purple robe with a wild dragon on his back suddenly stood up. He stared in the northeast direction and narrowed his eyes. His expression was extremely ugly as he said in a deep voice, "Don't worry. Who dares to break my formation? Today, I will fight to the death with you." A furious voice went straight to the sky. The middle-aged man's expression changed completely. Once the hovering grand formation was broken, the Long family would inevitably attack with irresistible force. At that time, he would be in even more danger. His family's ancestral land would inevitably be devoured bit by bit. His daughter would not be able to escape misfortune and would definitely become a sacrifice for the marriage alliance. It must be an array grandmaster invited by the Long family. Otherwise, who would have the ability to break his formation? At least there was no such person in the Long family. Even in the Divine Land, it was absolutely impossible. Could it be an expert from the Central Region Divine Land? The middle-aged man's expression became gloomier. He murmured, "Could it be that the heavens want to forget about the Wu family?" At the same time, in the north of Fuyu City, between the mountains, a group of people riding on flying beasts flew past the sky dragon of Fuyu City and began to quickly head in the direction of Yulon City. What's going on? Could it be that Lord Wu's formation has been broken? After all, the Long family still invited an expert to break our sorcerer clan's formation? Yes. Could it be that our sorcerer clan is really finished? It's hard to say. All these years, the Long family has been eyeing us covetously. Although our sorcerer clan's strength is far from what it used to be, it is still not a problem to resist a mere Long family. A mere Long family? Haha, you underestimate the Long family. If it wasn't to protect the sorcerer clan and resist the Long family, Lord Wu would not have spent 10 years to set up this hovering grand formation. Now that the formation has been broken, the Long family can't wait any longer. Countless people of Fuyu City and even the sorcerer clan were shocked and extremely pained. The sorcerer clan had always been another name for the Wu family. It had not been easy for them to pass down their lineage to this day. However, the Long family had been eyeing them covetously and had long wanted to occupy the sorcerer clan's territory and destroy the clan. The experts of the Long family filled the air above the void and formed a black mass, causing the people of the sorcerer clan to feel extremely depressed. To the people of the sorcerer clan, Lord Wu was their backbone. The hovering grand formation that Lord Wu had put in all his effort to set up was actually broken. For many years, it was because of the existence of the hovering grand formation that the Long family could not invade the sorcerer clan on a large scale. That was why their enemies did not dare to covet the existence of the sorcerer clan at all. Now, a large number of experts of the Long family had crossed Fuyu City and thousands of miles and started to advance towards the sorcerer clan. They were heading towards Yulon City. Jiang Chen did not have time to look back. Along the way, 3 auras of Divine Emperor Realm experts were discovered by Wu Chongjiu instantly, and he came face to face with Jiang Chen and the others. Wu Chongjiu was the legendary 9th Wangye, the master of the sorcerer clan and the ruler of Yulon City. Who are you? Jiang Chen frowned because at that moment, Wu Chongjiu had already blocked their way, causing the 3 of them to lose their way. Who am I? Ha ha ha, how dare you ask me who I am? Could it be that you broke my array formation just to laugh at me? How many benefits did Long Fei Wu give you? Wu Chongjiu shouted coldly. The corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile and he did not take it seriously. I don't know what you are talking about. I don't know Long Fei Wu either. I just want to pass through here. It's a pity that you set up a formation in this area, so I can only break it. Jiang Chen's brow furrowed tightly. It looked like this fellow was undoubtedly the 9th Wangye that the city guard had mentioned. Humph. Don't try to quibble. If that bastard Long Fei Wu did not instruct you to break my formation, why would you become an enemy of the sorcerer clan? I have no enmity with you, but you want to put the sorcerer clan in danger. I hate you. You bastard. I will not rest until you are dead. Wu Chongjiu's angry roars shocked the world. Countless citizens of the sorcerer clan looked at Jiang Chen and Wu Chongjiu in the void at that moment. Their hearts were filled with fear. Is this guy really sent by the Long family? It seems that the crisis of the sorcerer clan has finally arrived. It's hard to say. However, even the 9th Wangye has appeared. This time, it seems that things will not be so simple. Sigh. Is the peace that has lasted for so many years finally going to be broken? The sorcerer clan has always been peaceful and does not like war. But in the end, we still can't escape this misfortune? Countless people were filled with sorrow and disappointment. Once the Long family and the sorcerer god clan went to war, the ones who would suffer in the war that stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles would be the common people, as well as the weak sects and cultivators. Who would care about their suffering? Chapter 34-27. All these years of peace had allowed them to live and work in peace. They had been working hard on their cultivation. But now that the grand hovering formation had been destroyed, the peace that they had longed for was destined to vanish into thin air. I don't want to fight with you. I broke the formation just to leave this place. Jiang Chen did not want to waste any more time with this fella. He turned around and left. However, Wu Zhongjiu did not intend to let Jiang Chen leave just like that. No matter who he was, he must be related to the Long family since he broke the formation. It would be strange if he was not sent by the Long family. At this moment, Jiang Chen wanted to leave. However, powerful auras rushed up to the void above the 9 heavens. There were 11 Divine Emperor experts. Although they were all initial Divine Emperor experts or lesser Heavenly Connecting Realm experts, they had the advantage in numbers. There were more than 100 Hierarch experts. At this moment, Jiang Chen, Yan Qingqing, and Wu Ningzhu were trapped inside. Jiang Chen could not help but sigh. He did not expect that he would cause so much trouble after breaking the formation. This should be all the experts of the Sorcerer God clan gathered here. I advise you to surrender. Otherwise, you will definitely die a graveless death. Wu Zhongjiu held his spear and pointed it at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen felt helpless in his heart. He wasn't afraid of these people, but they were all innocent. He couldn't just kill them right now, could he? Although this battle might be a little tricky for him, he wasn't afraid. Firstly, he didn't want to waste too much time. Secondly, it was meaningless to kill them. Jiang Chen didn't want to kill innocent people indiscriminately. I've said it before. I really don't know what's going on with the Long family. I broke the formation because I want to go to the Dongshang Divine region. Hence, this is the closest way. Your hovering grand formation is blocking my way. Hence, I could only do this. Jiang Chen said. Ha ha ha. What a good excuse. However, do you really think that I'm a fool? You should be stalling for time in order to wait for the Long family to arrive. Today, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings. I will never let you leave safely. Otherwise, how can I face my people? How can I face those innocent people who will die tragically? I, Wu Zhongjiu, have a clear conscience. I have worked diligently all my life in order to ensure the safety of the people. But your Long family still wants to force me to be so overbearing. Just how long must I retreat before you are willing to give up? Today, I, Wu Zhongjiu, swear to the heavens that I will not let any of the tyrannical members of the Long family off. Wu Zhongjiu said coldly. He was not afraid of death. He was determined to kill Jiang Chen and the others. Ninth Lord, why are you still wasting your breath on him? Since things have come to this, let's kill them first. When the Long family comes later, we will also kill them. That's right, Lord Jiu. I can't wait to deal with this kind of trash. I must kill him as soon as possible. The remaining members of the Long family have no reason to spare his life. The few Divine Emperor realm experts beside Wu Zhongjiu were already eager to fight. Jiang Chen was also helpless. Are these people brainless? However, Jiang Chen thought about it and felt that it was indeed so. He sighed in his heart. He had broken their protective formation. At this time, he had broken their balance. It seemed reasonable for them to treat him as an enemy. Aren't we fine now? What else do you want? Isn't it just a formation? Do you want us to die as an apology before you are happy? We are definitely not the remaining members of the Long family or your accomplices. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. If you really want to fight, you may not be a match for us. Wu Ningzhu said coldly. In an instant, everyone's emotions were on tenterhooks. These guys are so arrogant. It's obvious that they're the ones who broke my formation. Now, they're trying to make a false accusation. This is intolerable. There's no point in talking. Let's attack. We must kill this bastard and then deal with the Long family. Wu Zhongjiu waved his hand. His face was gloomy. More than 10 Divine Emperor realm experts rushed out. As the mainstay of the Sorcerer God clan, it was time for them to repay the clan. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head silently. At this moment, they were forced to attack. Don't kill them. After all, we are in the wrong. I, Jiang Chen, will never kill the innocent. Jiang Chen said in a low voice. The strength of an early Divine Emperor was nothing in the eyes of these people. They could not play a decisive role at all. As for Wu Zhongjiu, who was a mid-Divine Emperor, he did not even bother to take action. He only needed to watch this battle coldly. The real highlight was definitely at the end. After these 3 people, the Long family would definitely send out all of their forces. They had been waiting for this moment for too long. These fellas are seeking their own deaths. Yet you still let them live. You're just pretending to be merciful. Humph. Yan Qingqing sneered. However, she still listened to Jiang Chen and did not kill these fellas. More than 10 Divine Emperor Realm experts rushed towards them. At this moment, Jiang Chen fought against 6 of them alone. Fighting 1 against 6. Even Wu Chongjie was completely shocked. This fellow, was he really that strong? An early Divine Emperor Realm fella fighting against 6 early Divine Emperor Realm experts. He could not believe it. This fella is indeed quite capable. No wonder he could break through my formation. Wu Chongjie murmured. His lips curled into a cold smile and his face darkened. However, it would not be easy to escape from his hands. The Sorcerer God tribe was not a tribe that would be bullied by anyone. Brat, give me your life. The experts of the Sorcerer God clan shouted. Jiang Chen was calm and at ease. With his bare fists, he forced the 6 of them to retreat. His imposing manner was so imposing that no one dared to fight against him. Jiang Chen's attacks were like thunder, but he did not go overboard. His fists landed on their flesh but did not harm their lives. Within 10 moves, all of them were forced to retreat. Their faces were pale as they suffered a palm strike from Jiang Chen. Their injuries were severe and their battle strength was greatly reduced. Jiang Chen had already shown mercy to them. Otherwise, Jiang Chen would have already killed them. On the other side, Wu Ningzhu and Yan Qingqing were also at ease. When Wu Ningzhu was in the profound Feng sect, she had already broken through to the Divine Emperor realm. Although her strength might not be comparable to Yan Qingqing's, she was not a pushover. She was able to fight against 2 opponents with ease. At this moment, Wu Zhongjie was the one who was shocked. Because the 11 of them were not a match for 3 early Divine Emperor realm experts. It was shameful to hear about this. Chapter 34-28. Wu Zhongjie's eyes were sharp as he stared at Jiang Chen. In this battle, if he did not bring Jiang Chen to justice, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. The entire Sorcerer God tribe would lose confidence in them. Therefore, Wu Zhongjie had to show his true strength and kill the person who destroyed his formation. Only then would he be able to inspire his followers and the people of the Sorcerer God tribe. Although the Sorcerer God tribe was in a difficult situation, as the saying goes, a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. Wu Zhongjie was very clear that the Long family understood this very well. It was impossible for them to take down the Sorcerer God tribe in one fell swoop. Even if the Long family wanted to destroy the Sorcerer God tribe and occupy more of the Divine Great Earthland's territory, it was destined to be a long battle. The Sorcerer God tribe was in a precarious situation. Wu Zhongjie had to stand up for his people. Zhou Wangya, kill him and take revenge for us. Our city's defensive barrier was destroyed by him. These people must be the Long family's minions. Teach him a lesson. The Long family has ulterior motives. We must not let them succeed. Zhou Wangya's prestige is unparalleled. Our Sorcerer God tribe has been passed down for thousands of years. The Long family can't touch us. The entire Sorcerer God tribe's front lines stretched across the sky. Countless people of the Sorcerer God tribe had already rushed up to the peak of the sky. More and more experts were rushing up to the sky to strengthen the Sorcerer God tribe. Facing thousands of experts, Heavenly God Realm, Divine King Realm, and Hierarch Realm, there were tens of thousands of them. They were the people of the Sorcerer God tribe in the Divine Great Earth. Although the Sorcerer God tribe was not the ruler of the Divine Great Earth, the Sorcerer God tribe was one of the 4 great powers in the Divine Great Earth. It had an absolute geographical advantage and was rich in natural resources. There were hundreds of thousands of miles of mountains, demonic beasts, and spiritual herbs everywhere. Therefore, the Long family had been eyeing it covetously. Wu Zhongjie's gaze was ice-cold as he looked at Jiang Chen with disdain. His hand punched out heavily. As he punched out, the wind howled and roars filled the air. Space itself started to distort as fist shadows filled the skies. Jiang Chen immediately held his blade horizontally and punched out with a flip of his hand. The 2 of them collided in an instant. Even though they were separated by several hundred meters, the terrifying shockwaves swept across the skies. Countless people in the surroundings stopped in their tracks and were forced back, their faces pale. Jiang Chen was calm and composed, not showing any signs of weakness. Both of their fists weaved together, but there was no pressure at all. Jiang Chen was alone, facing the 9th Wangya of the Sorcerer God tribe, Wu Chongjie. The might of that one punch shocked everyone. How could this guy be so strong? The ninth Wangye was the top expert of the entire sorcerer god tribe. If the person invited by the Long family could compete with the ninth Wangye, then it would be hard to tell who would win this battle. If Wu Chongjiu lost, the sorcerer god tribe would definitely suffer a crushing defeat. Even Wu Chongjiu did not expect Jiang Chen's strength to reach such a terrifying level. It was no wonder that Jiang Chen could break his floating array. However, as the #1 expert of the sorcerer god tribe, Wu Chongjiu was full of confidence. He could only win this battle and not lose. He did not represent himself, but the countless people of the sorcerer god tribe. You are very strong, but I still want to kill you. As the vanguard of the Long family, your strength is impressive. Why do you want to risk your life for the Long family? Wu Chongjiu clenched his fists tightly and his gaze was extremely cold. Jiang Chen sighed, a myriad of emotions welling up in his heart. I have already said that I am not on the same side as the Long family. What do I have to do to make you believe me? I am just a passerby. What does the grudge between the sorcerer god tribe and the Long family have to do with me? It is my fault for breaking the array. I do not want to kill innocent people. Otherwise, do you think that I could not kill those divine Emperor realm experts? You are still so arrogant even when you are about to die. Ninth Wangye, this guy must be killed. Most of the people in the Long family are cunning. This guy is not a good person. Humph. A divine emperor expert harumphed coldly and said. Jiang Chen's arrogance and conceit made him furious. There is no point in talking anymore. The array has been broken. What else do you have to say? The Long family wants to annihilate the sorcerer god tribe. I, Wu Chongjiu, will accompany them to the end even if I have to die. Wu Chongjiu roared and clashed with Jiang Chen. Their figures were like rainbows, intertwining chaotically. Jiang Chen's aura was vigorous and he dared not be negligent. Wu Chongjiu's strength was definitely not weak. He was at the great perfection middle divine emperor realm. It would be difficult for Jiang Chen to defeat him. Moreover, Jiang Chen did not have any killing intent. At this moment, he could only sigh silently. Jiang Chen's battle strength was on par with Wu Chongjiu's and he was not in danger. However, Wu Ningzhu and Yan Qingqing were being pushed back. This made Jiang Chen's face gradually turn gloomy. However, everyone has a temper. Jiang Chen had endured again and again. At this moment, Wu Ningzhu and Yan Qingqing's situation was not very optimistic. The two of them were fighting against 5 divine emperors at the same time, and they were already in a difficult situation. I originally wanted to keep the peace, but you guys are so aggressive. Looks like if I don't teach you a lesson, you guys will really think that I, Jiang Chen, am a sick cat. Jiang Chen sneered and the corner of his mouth became gloomier. He could suffer, but he would never let Yan Qingqing and Wu Ningzhu be wronged. Jiang Chen forced Wu Chongjiu to retreat with a single strike. The heavenly dragon sword in his hand shone brightly and charged towards the 11 divine emperor realm experts. How dare you touch my woman? Get lost. Jiang Chen killed in all directions. His swordsmanship was amazing. The 11 divine emperor realm experts could not even withstand one strike from Jiang Chen. With the heavenly dragon sword, no one could withstand its sharpness. In just a moment, the 4 of them were severely injured by Jiang Chen. The heavenly dragon sword tasted blood and splattered across the sky. Wu Chongjiu's face became gloomier. How dare you? Don't you dare to hurt my clansmen. Wu Chongjiu held the long spear in his hand and the spear's shadow soared to the sky. Lightning radiated in all directions. Jiang Chen was shouted at by Wu Chongjiu. Their swords collided with each other. Jiang Chen was like a hot knife cutting through butter. Those who dared to touch his woman were destined to have a bad ending. Jiang Chen had already shown mercy by not killing all 4 of them with his 4 strikes. Stubborn fella, the sorcerer god clan will be destroyed in your hands sooner or later. You guys forced me to do this. Get lost. Jiang Chen was like a god descending to the mortal world. The heavenly dragon sword roared and swept across the 9 heavens. He stepped on the clouds and the 18th sword technique stole the sky and changed the sun. The rain of swords was terrifying. Wu Chongjiu held the long spear in his hand. Although he was shocked, he did not panic. Chapter 34-29. Absolute Shadow Snake Spear Formation. Wu Zhongjiu was not in a hurry. The spear shadows instantly formed a formation and trapped Jiang Chen within. The 36 spear shadows formed a formation that shocked Jiang Chen. He squinted his eyes and thought that Wu Zhongjiu's strength was definitely not weaker than his. He was definitely no match for Wu Zhongjiu's spear shadows. Wu Zhongjiu's understanding of formations was probably higher than his. Great! Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. The 18th sword's momentum collided with the countless spear shadows. A tearing sound resounded through the sky and a series of sparks burst out. It was like a sea of fire raging in the void. The sea of fire spread across the sky and the impact was suffocating. Several Divine Emperor experts were forced to retreat. Numerous Hierarch and Divine King experts were shocked and quickly retreated in fear of being caught in the crossfire. Jiang Chen's skills were exceptional. The 18th sword pierced through the absolute shadow snake spear formation with great power. In the end, the sword shadows and spear shadows collided with each other. The two of them were evenly matched and no one gained the upper hand. Whether it was the sharpness of the 18th sword or the sealing of the absolute shadow snake spear formation, they were all completely blocked. In an instant, the entire void was filled with turbulent winds and clouds. Jiang Chen couldn't help but think that if it was him, he wouldn't have been able to form a formation so quickly. If it wasn't for the fact that he was in a hurry to leave, Jiang Chen might have really wanted to have a good fight with Wu Zhongjiu. This battle had benefited him a lot. However, to Wu Zhongjiu, he had already lost. The Long family would definitely be eyeing them covetously, and they must be on their way. The Sorcerer Divine Tribe situation was getting more and more difficult. Look, there are so many people and demonic beasts. Yeah, it's so dark that the sky is almost covered. This can't be someone from the Long family, right? It's hard to say. These guys took advantage of the floating hunter formation of our Sorcerer Divine Tribe to attack Yulan City. Their target is Yulan City. More and more people began to see groups of people heading towards Orchid Spirit City. Wu Zhongjiu was unwilling to give up. He wanted to continue attacking Jiang Chen, but in front of him was a dense mass of experts that seemed to cover the entire sky. His heart finally sank. This was definitely the Long family. If the Long family did not make a move at this time, even he would feel that something was amiss. It's here, it's finally here. Wu Zhongjiu's heart skipped a beat. As the leader of the Sorcerer God tribe, he was duty-bound. This battle would be the most terrifying battle in the tens of millions of years that he had been in charge of the Sorcerer God tribe. This concerned the life and death of the entire Sorcerer God tribe, as well as the inheritance of the Sorcerer God tribe. Even if he had to risk his life, Wu Zhongjiu would never lower his head. In the sky the clouds fell. On the back of countless demonic beasts, experts stood one after another. 17 Divine Emperor Realm experts stood in the clouds, their hands clasped behind their backs. They seemed to be crushing everything in their way. The Long family was a family that had a supreme legend. Compared to the Sorcerer God tribe, they were not to be outdone. Wu Zhongjiu's mind raced and his face was solemn. If the Sorcerer God tribe really fell in his hands, he would definitely become a sinner. Jiang Chen's face was cold as he looked at the 17 Divine Emperor Realm experts. He sighed in his heart. These super forces were indeed extraordinary. Even the foundation of the sword-drawing sect could not be compared to them. Although the Central Region Divine Land was the largest place in the entire Divine world, there were many sects that were entrenched in a small area. They were not weak at all. After tens of thousands of years of inheritance, it was destined that a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Their foundations were not to be underestimated, especially those that had been passed down since the ancient times. Any one of them was destined to be worshipped by tens of thousands of people. Not even time could corrode them. They were the true heroes in this chaotic world. The Long family is here. What should we do? Zhou Wangya, these guys seem to have come out in full force. 17 Divine Emperor Realm experts. We can't fight against this force. Yes, Zhou Wangya, what should we do? It's all because of this bastard that we are in such a passive position. We are not afraid of death. Whoever wants to trample on our homeland will have to step over our bodies first. One by one, the experts behind Wu Zhongjiu were riled up as they roared in anger. They did not retreat, but this battle was destined to be a battle where they would lose more than they would win. Everyone from the Long family has crossed more than 30,000 miles from the Sorcerer God tribe. What do you want? Wu Zhongjiu said faintly. Haha, Zhou Wangya is right. We are just bored and wanted to come to the Sorcerer God tribe for a walk. We have no other intentions. Haha, we and the Sorcerer God tribe have been one family since ancient times. Surely Zhou Wangya doesn't want to interfere in such a small matter? A Divine Emperor Realm expert said with a smile. You're just a young man. How dare you challenge me? You're really thick-skinned. Do you really think I don't know why you're here? A group of people with ulterior motives. Thousands of experts have come out in full force. Are you here to tour the sorcerer god tribe? Humph. Could it be that the Long family only sent people like you who are so weak? Wu Chongjiu said lung. Some people from the Long family were already angry, and their faces were extremely gloomy. Haha, you're indeed the Zhou Wangye. You're brave and insightful. My juniors are a little unfamiliar with you. Hurry up and apologize to the Zhou Wangye. A middle-aged man in a black and white long robe walked out slowly and said with a faint smile, pretending to be angry. Forgive me, Zhou Wangye. I was the one who offended you. The arrogant divine emperor realm expert said with a faint smile. There was no trace of apology on his face. Wu Chongjiu could not be bothered to argue with that guy. He looked at the middle-aged man in front of him. He was the Long family patriarch, Long Yingyue. The two of them had known each other for tens of millions of years. Long Yingyue had been waiting for this moment for far too long. You don't come without a reason. Tell me, what do you think the Long family patriarch wants? I'd like to see what's the Long family patriarch's intention of bringing 3,000 troops into the sorcerer god tribe? Wu Chongjiu said. How could Wu Chongjiu not know about Long Yingyue's wishful thinking? Both of them were well aware of it. However, Long Yingyue was a person who cared about his face. Moreover, both of them were patriarchs of big families. How could they let others see them as a joke? Therefore, even if Long Yingyue came to fight, he would definitely have a good reason. Haha, nothing can escape the Zhou Wangye's eyes. I'm afraid you've already guessed what I'm thinking, right? I just want to find a wife for my unfilial son. I've heard that the Zhou Wangye's daughter is virtuous. Therefore, I want to form a marriage alliance with the Zhou Wangye. If we join hands, who in the divine great land would dare to go against us? Don't you think so? Chapter 34:30. Half a master. Looks like I can't reject your motive. Is it really that simple? Wu Zhongjiu laughed coldly. Of course, I would like you to give me a small dowry. I wonder what you think about the 800,000-mile territory of the sorcerer god tribe? If our two families are on good terms, isn't it the same as sending it from the left hand to the right hand? Don't you think so? In my opinion, this is a joyous occasion for everyone. Long Yu's words almost made Wu Zhongjiu spit out a mouthful of blood. This fellow was simply shameless. Did he really think he was a fool? The 800,000-mile territory was 2/3 of the sorcerer god tribe's territory. This fellow actually wanted him to be a dowry and give it to the Long family? Wasn't this the ravings of an idiot? Ha ha ha, Long Yu, you old man, you're really shameless. Why don't you just declare war on me? You want to snatch the territory of the sorcerer god tribe? You really kill without spilling blood. Wu Zhongjiu snorted coldly and said disdainfully. You're wrong, Ninth Wangye. What I mean is for the good of our two families, for the good of our children, and more importantly, for the good of the divine great land. Ninth Wangye. Please don't be suspicious and don't be suspicious. Ha ha ha. Long Yu's smile also narrowed, angering Wu Zhongjiu so much that his face turned green. I've never seen such a shameless person in my life. There's no point in saying anything more. You've brought so many experts here. Isn't it to fight against the sorcerer god tribe? Long Yu, isn't this exactly what you want? Wu Zhongjiu pointed his spear at Long Yu and shouted in a low voice. Sigh. I never thought that my good intentions would be looked down upon by you, Ninth Wangye. It really hurts my heart. My heart is towards the moon, but the moon shines in the ditch. Ninth Wangye. Won't you reconsider? The 800,000-mile territory is just a drop in the ocean for the sorcerer god tribe. Ha ha. Long Yu continued to speak shamelessly. Wu Zhongjiu completely ignored him. This guy was just doing this for a good reason. All these years, you are still so long-winded. You really disappoint me. Hypocrite, the Long family has been eyeing you for a long time. I'm afraid that you have been looking forward to today's battle for a long time, right? For the sake of the territory of my sorcerer god tribe, you really put in a lot of effort. Wu Zhongjiu said. At this moment, Jiang Chen's expression was calm. He was not a savior, he was just a passerby. Regardless of whether the sorcerer god tribe or the Long family won or lost, it had nothing to do with him. He was just an outsider in this battle. He only had one goal, which was to leave this place as soon as possible and head to the Dongshang Divine Continent. Since Ninth Wangya doesn't give me any face, I have nothing else to say. Ninth Wangya, my Long family has always treated you with respect. Since you don't give me any face, I can only test Ninth Wangya's skills. My face is worthless, but the juniors behind me are all hot-blooded people. It's hard to guarantee that they won't do anything to make Ninth Wangya unhappy. I can give up my face, but Ninth Wangya should give them an explanation. Otherwise, don't blame my Long family for being impolite, Long Yu said lightly. Long Yue indifferently said. At this moment, he had finally revealed his foxtail. If you want to incriminate someone, you can always find a pretext. The person you sent earlier broke my spell formation, and now he's putting on an act. Long Yue, our battle is inevitable. Make your move, and don't let me underestimate you, Wu Zhongjiu said with a big laugh. He was full of fighting spirit and arrogance. Ha ha ha, good. As expected of the descendant of King Ba En. In today's battle, Ninth Wangya, I won't let you down. Long Yu's loud voice resounded through the 9 heavens. At this time, Jiang Chen, who was already far away, heard Long Yu's words and couldn't help but tremble. Although he was already 100 miles away, Long Yu's voice was too loud. It was deafening and resounded for 1,000 miles. King Ban? Jiang Chen's body trembled and his face was incomparably gloomy. Wu Zhongjiu is the descendant of King Ban? King Ban. Ninth Wangya. Why didn't I think of that? No, let's go back first. Why? Aren't you anxious to save Yu'er? Yan Qingqing frowned and asked in a low voice. Although I haven't seen King Ban, my formation inheritance is all from him. Now that the descendant of King Ban is in trouble, I definitely can't just stand by and watch. Jiang Chen let out a long sigh and looked towards the east. I'm sorry, Yu'er. I might have to save you later. King Ban is as important as a mountain to me. Now that his descendant is in trouble, I can't just sit by and watch. Jiang Chen turned around and went straight to the battlefield of the Sorcerer God tribe. At this moment, Wu Zhongjiu and Long Yu were already at each other's throats. The people of the Long family and the Sorcerer God tribe were also holding their breath. This battle was imminent. This battle started because of me, so I should be the one to end it. Jiang Chen's sudden return made Wu Zhongjiu's face as gloomy as water. This guy had always been around, and the battle between him and the Long family had become more and more difficult. Brother, may I know where you came from? Long Yu smiled faintly. This floating path grand array was broken by me. Jiang Chen sighed. Long Yu's eyes brightened as he looked at Jiang Chen with gratitude and admiration. This brother is truly a genius of the heavens and earth. Ha ha ha, my Long family has been helpless for so many years. Who would have thought that it would actually be this brother who solved it? I, Long Yu, am truly grateful. Long Yu clasped his hands together and said. Wu Zhongjiu's face became increasingly ugly. I had no choice but to break the array. In this battle, I am a member of the Sorcerer God tribe. Whoever dares to take a step forward, I, Jiang Chen, will fight to the death. Jiang Chen held the heavenly dragon sword in his hand and looked at Long Yu with disdain. At that moment, Long Yu and Wu Zhongjiu were both stunned. Even the people behind them were extremely shocked. What was going on? Jiang Chen broke the array, and now he was standing on the side of the Sorcerer God tribe. Wu Zhongjiu even thought that he had heard wrongly. This guy wanted to help him fight against the Long family? Brother, you broke the array first, and my Long family owes you a debt of gratitude. But you are standing on the side of the Sorcerer God tribe. This is really confusing. Long Yue furrowed his brows. He hadn't expected the current situation to become so chaotic. Who was this guy who appeared out of nowhere? What did he want? Did he break the floating path grand array of the Sorcerer God tribe just out of curiosity? Wu Zhongjiu was completely dumbfounded as he stared blankly at Jiang Chen. Who are you? Chapter 34-31. Jiang Chen's words caused Wu Zhongjiu's expression to change. His body trembled and he stared at Jiang Chen in disbelief. You mean, King Ban is your master? You can say that. Master's kindness is like a mountain. It was all thanks to Senior 8 Nunnery Wang that I was able to break your floating traversing formation. If it wasn't for Senior 8 Nunnery Wang, my attainments in formation would have been terrible. Jiang Chen smiled apologetically. How can you prove that you are my father's disciple? Wu Zhongjiu's eyes were burning. I didn't see the no-beginning array vanish. My achievements today are all due to the no-beginning array in the hands of Senior Ba and Wang. Jiang Chen's face was solemn and respectful. Wu Chongjiu nodded his head silently. His heart was filled with emotions. It was really a hilarious scene. His own father's disciple had destroyed the formation that he had personally set up, causing the sorcerer god tribe to fall into dire straits. Is this person really the disciple of King Ba? What a failure. He actually broke the floating teleportation formation. Isn't he breaking his own limbs? Sigh, isn't that right? If he wasn't the disciple of King Ba, who else could break our King Jiu's floating teleportation formation? However, the current situation is really disadvantageous to the sorcerer god tribe. The disciple of King Ba is at least half a member of the sorcerer god tribe. It's a pity that this guy helped an outsider. Now, with his strength alone, can he change the situation? It's hard to say. Now, the sorcerer god tribe is surrounded by enemies. The Long family has ulterior motives. This battle is going to be very difficult. More and more people gathered. After all, this was the territory of the sorcerer god tribe. However, everyone was sighing. Even Wu Zhongjiu's face was solemn, and he did not dare to let his guard down. I am the son of King Ba. You can also call me King Jiu, Wu Zhongjiu. Wu Chongjiu took a deep breath and said. He did not expect his own father to have a disciple outside. Even he did not know about it. Furthermore, Jiang Chen had used his supreme formation skills to break the floating barrier formation that he had spent more than 10 years to set up. It could be said that the flood had rushed into the temple of the Dragon King, and they did not know each other. I had no choice but to break the Grand Abstinence floating traversing array. Brother Wu, please forgive me. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. He had used the skill that his father had taught him to break his son's formation and put the entire Witch God tribe in danger. It was inevitable that he felt a little apologetic. Wu Zhongjiu sighed and shook his head helplessly. It was too late to say anything now because Long Yingyue was already eyeing them. Hee, this is really interesting. The disciple of King Ba? No wonder you could break the Jiu Wangye's formation. It's really unbelievable. What a dramatic scene. It's a pity that it's too late to say anything now. The Witch God tribe is destined to become cannon fodder. Long Yingyue said with a smile. He did not put Jiang Chen in his eyes at all. He was just an early divine emperor, and his formation skills were quite admirable. Now that the floating barrier formation had been broken, what was the use of him? This guy's appearance was already meaningless. Just kill him. I will naturally settle the trouble that I have caused. Whoever dares to step into the Witch God tribe today will be my, Jiang Chen's, mortal enemy. Brother Wu, I can only fight with you today to atone for my crime of breaking the formation. Jiang Chen smiled and said. Wu Zhongjiu waved his hand and said, the Witch God tribe will not be able to escape from this disaster. Even if it's not you, there will be a second person. This is the will of the heavens. However, with Brother Jiang here, I am not worried. If my father is watching from the heavens, he will definitely be happy. Jiang Chen squinted his eyes and said in a low voice, Senior King Baran, father has already disappeared from this world. Wu Zhongjiu said sadly. Today, I will live and die with Brother Wu. Jiang Chen made up his mind. All of this happened because of him. Therefore, Jiang Chen must complete his redemption and block this life or death battle for the Witch God tribe. Kid, so what if you're the disciple of King Baran? An early divine emperor wants to control the battle? Your existence is not even worth mentioning to me. Long Yingyue said confidently. Although he did not expect this scene, he could not help but laugh at Jiang Chen's arrogance. Does this guy really think that he is a peerless god of war and can change the fate of the world? These 17 early divine emperor experts and hundreds and thousands of hierarch experts, are they all useless? Jiang Chen smiled calmly and confidently. If I want to kill you, it'll be as easy as taking water from my pocket. The Long clan is not worthy of my attention. Jiang Chen's arrogance made Long Yingyue very angry. He squinted his eyes and stared at Jiang Chen. This fellow is too arrogant. His Long clan is one of the 4 major forces in the divine land. Even the Witch God tribe that had existed for countless years could only defend passively. They did not dare to fight, even shrinking the battlefield and using the floating grand formation as a defense. However, Jiang Chen was so arrogant, wanting to fight against the Long clan by himself. Wasn't this a fantasy? Good, good, good. Now it seems that I should teach you a lesson. It's good that a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger, but arrogance and conceit are destined to be punished. My Long clan has dominated the divine land for countless years, but I have never seen someone as arrogant as you. The witch god tribe will be destroyed in your hands. Ha ha ha. Long Inue pointed at Jiang Chen. The coldness in his smile was frightening. Brother Jiang, don't underestimate your enemy. The Long clan is strong, and Long Inue is not to be trifled with. Wu Zhongjiu said in a low voice. The Long clan's morale was high. Everyone's eyes were filled with killing intent, ready to make a move. I know what I'm doing. Jiang Chen nodded and glanced at Wu Zhongjiu. At this time, he was ready to fight. Moreover, Jiang Chen would definitely not let the witch god tribe fall into danger. Otherwise, wouldn't he be cursed for eternity? Once the Long clan defeated the witch god tribe, blood would flow like a river and the world would be turned upside down. At that time, it would be an unpredictable tragedy. Moreover, Wu Zhongjiu was the descendant of King Ba En. Therefore, Jiang Chen could not let them come to any harm. Whether it was to repay a debt of gratitude or to make up for his mistake, Jiang Chen was duty-bound. Ha ha ha, very well. I will fulfill your wish. I will let you die together with the witch god tribe. We will advance and retreat together, live and die together, as you wish. Long Inue roared. His sword was unsheathed. Long Inue held the dragon-shaped broadsword in his hand and pointed it at Jiang Chen. Come, let me see how strong you really are. Chapter 34-32. Good sword. It's really a good sword. Long Inue's eyes narrowed as he looked at the heavenly dragon sword in Jiang Chen's hand. He was pleasantly surprised because he lacked a suitable divine weapon. The heavenly dragon sword was just what he needed. Patriarch, we can't wait any longer. Let me teach this reckless guy a lesson. Huh. Yeah. Does this little bastard really think he's invincible? He's just breaking a formation and he's so arrogant. Serves him right to be annihilated like the sorcerer divine clan. Patriarch, these idiots should become ghosts under the iron hooves of our Long family. Their deaths are not to be regretted. The Long family members held onto their weapons and spears. They were eager to fight. Long Inue wanted to have a good reason to fight. At this moment, they did not need to hesitate anymore. Kill. Long Inue sneered and waved the dragon-shaped saber in his hand. In an instant, the sea of people started fighting fiercely. In this battle, let me see if your so-called Long family can trample the Sorcerer God clan. Jiang Chen was the first to face them. The 17 early Divine Emperor experts of the Long family went up to Jiang Chen without hesitation. Because in their eyes, this Jiang Chen was too annoying. Did he want to fight against the Long family alone? It was simply an idiot's ravings. Now they had to teach this guy a lesson. The 17 Divine Emperor experts swarmed forward. Jiang Chen held the heavenly dragon sword in his hand. He looked calm and fearless. Brother Jiang Chen, be careful, Wu Zhongjiu exclaimed. No matter how strong Jiang Chen was, he could not do anything when 17 Divine Emperor experts attacked him at the same time. Wu Zhongjiu's eyes turned cold. He waved his hand and the experts of the Sorcerer Divine clan behind him also rushed forward. Even an outsider could fight to the death for the Sorcerer Divine clan, let alone a patriarch like him. Your opponent is me. Long Inue blocked Wu Zhongjiu's path with a slight smile. His broadsword was more than 5 feet long, and it was domineering and godly. The two of them were already fighting at close quarters. As the sword and saber moved, their auras were in chaos. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth surged, wreaking havoc on the common people. It was like a group of demons dancing in a frenzy. I'm sure Patriarch Long has been waiting for this day for a very, very long time. Wu Zhongjiu sneered. Just as Lord Jiu said, the Witch God clan should have taken the surname Long a long time ago. Ha! Long Inue attacked fiercely. His broadsword soared into the sky and clashed with Wu Zhongjiu at the peak of the 9th Divine Emperor realm. Their figures were incomparable as they crossed each other. Wu Zhongjiu understood that this battle concerned the survival of the Witch God clan. He must not show the slightest bit of cowardice. He must fight to the death and settle the common people. On the other side, the most eye-catching one was Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen's strength was beyond everyone's expectations. Previously, When he fought with Wu Zhongjiu, they were evenly matched. This had already attracted the attention of countless people. But now, he was fighting against 17 Divine Emperor experts alone. 17 Divine Emperor experts could not gain the upper hand against Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen wielded his broadsword and leaped into the battle. No one could withstand his sharpness. Jiang Chen had completely blocked the Long clan's most terrifying attack by himself. At this moment, the Divine Emperor experts of the Witch God clan were confused. Jiang Chen was fighting against 17 Divine Emperor experts alone. What should they do? Let's go and beat up those Hierarch Realm experts first. You should have said so earlier. The eyes of the elder of the Sorcerer Divine clan lit up. Seeing that Jiang Chen had stabilized the situation, more than 10 of them looked at the Hierarch Realm experts. The Hierarch Realm Long family members were like stray dogs facing the Divine Emperor Realm experts of the Sorcerer Divine clan. They ran away in all directions without any resistance. Even a Divine Emperor Realm expert was not inferior to hundreds or thousands of Hierarch Realm experts. The strength of a Divine Emperor Realm expert was far beyond that of a Hierarch Realm expert. Many people could not even catch up to them. At this moment, Wu Ningzhu and Yan Chenyu did not want to be outdone. Jiang Chen was extremely powerful. As Jiang Chen's women, the two of them led more than 10 Divine Emperor experts and killed their way into the Hierarch Realm experts of the Long family. It was as if there was no one who could stop them. In an instant, deafening screams and shouts filled the air. The entire Long clan was quite depressed. They did not expect that they would end up in such a difficult situation after going all out. The strength of the Long clan was not weak. They were even more powerful than the people of the Witch God clan. However, it was not a battle of strength but an unequal battle. It was just like Tianji's horse race, a superior horse against a mediocre horse against an inferior horse. In an instant, the Long clan was in an extremely passive position and their morale was low. At this moment, the battle between Jiang Chen and the 17 early Divine Emperor experts, as well as the battle between Wu Chongjiu and Long Yu, the leaders of the two great forces had already fought mercilessly. It was enough to show Long Yu's determination to invade the Witch God clan. However, Jiang Chen's strength had become the focus of everyone's attention at this moment. Who would have thought that an early Divine Emperor expert could be so relaxed when facing 17 experts of the same level? At this moment, although Jiang Chen was not at ease, he was completely at ease. Shadows of dragons and tigers pierced through the sky. Jiang Chen raised his sword and wreaked havoc in the sky. The limitless sword was at the peak of the firmament, and the 17 Divine Emperor experts were nothing to him. Jiang Chen's sword was unconventional. He retreated in order to advance. These 17 people had become the dojo for Jiang Chen to practice his swordsmanship. As soon as the sword was drawn, it cut through the firmament. The 16th sword sealed the sky, the 17th sword raged, and the 18th sword gave everyone a feeling of desperation. Jiang Chen finally broke out at this moment. A bunch of reckless fools. Just the Long family. I, Jiang Chen, will send you all to the next world today. Jiang Chen sneered. Under the dragon transformation, his strength was even stronger than before. He had almost reached the great perfection of the early Divine Emperor realm. These experts of the Long family were completely shocked by Jiang Chen's aura. The dragon's might was unparalleled, and together with the heavenly dragon sword Qi, it swept across the sky. The 17 early Divine Emperor experts were all shocked. This sword was like a pillar that could support the sky and destroy the mountains. The 17 early Divine Emperor experts were all shocked. This sword was like a pillar that could support the sky and destroy the mountains. The 17 experts all retreated, but they still could not stop this sword. Chapter 34-33. Fuck. Is he still human? Impossible. This is impossible. The people of the Long clan were shocked and trembled. Divine Emperor realm experts could not even withstand a single blow from Jiang Chen. Only the remaining Divine Emperor realm experts truly understood how terrifying that strike was. If they did not risk their lives to resist it, they would have been crushed to death by the power of that strike. At this moment, Long Yinue had already forced Wu Zhongjiu to retreat and his aura was at its peak. However, in an instant, his side had lost 3 Divine Emperor experts, and the remaining people were also in an incomparably tragic state. This guy seemed to be a little too overbearing. How did he do it? Long Yinue frowned, completely unwilling to believe it. However, the truth was that he could not change the outcome. Bastard! Long Yingyue gritted his teeth and said. His heart was in turmoil because Jiang Chen's attack had completely disrupted his plan to attack the Sorcerer Divine clan. At this moment, the Long clan was actually in a passive position. Not only were 3 Divine Emperor Realm experts killed, but the death rate of Hierarch Realm experts had risen to more than 10 people. This made Long Yingyue completely collapse. It was impossible for the Sorcerer Divine clan to be so powerful. Could a mere early Divine Emperor Realm expert really turn the situation around? Long Yingyue did not believe it. He must give Jiang Chen a heavy blow. Get out of my way! Long Yingyue's attack had forced Wu Zhongjiu to retreat. Wu Zhongjiu's strength was indeed a level higher than his. At this moment, more than 10 Divine Emperor Realm experts began to attack Wu Zhongjiu, while Long Yingyue faced Jiang Chen directly. If this guy was not eliminated, then the Long clan's attack would be stopped here and it would be difficult for them to advance. I have really underestimated you. Jiang Chen, right? I, Long Yingyue, would like to meet you in today's battle. Long Yingyue's broadsword and Jiang Chen's heavenly dragon sword were shining brightly. Sure, but you must be prepared to die at any time, Jiang Chen said faintly. In this battle, he wanted to boost the morale of the Sorcerer God tribe. Now that the hovering demon array had been destroyed, he had to change his position. Only then would he be able to strike fear into the hearts of the dragon race. Ha ha ha, I'll wait and see. Long Yingyue grasped his broadsword and slashed through the air, stepping on clouds and thunder. He and Jiang Chen clashed again and again with aurora bolts, reversing the firmament. Long Yingyue's strength was a notch higher than Wu Zhongjiu's, and Jiang Chen did not dare to be careless. Under the dragon transformation, he clashed with Long Yingyue's every move. The two clashed again and again, and it was quite ferocious. Their swords screeched as they fought in the air. Sword intent of solitude. Dragon chant. Frenzied saber chaos. The sky was filled with feathers, and light and shadow filled the air. 3,000 miles of the sky was filled with splendor, rushing to the heavens and the earth. The convergence of sword and broadsword, the tearing of light and shadow, and the drastic change that shook the heavens and earth, made everyone gasp in amazement. Even Wu Zhongjiu felt ashamed of his inferiority. He could not help but murmur, "This Jiang Chen is really terrifying. If not for Jiang Chen, I'm afraid that the Sorcerer God tribe would sooner or later be in the hands of the dragon race." Only now did Wu Zhongjiu realize that he had completely underestimated Jiang Chen, and even Long Yingyue. He was no match for either of them. Even if he used all his skills, he would still lose. At that moment, the sky and earth were spinning, but the battle between Jiang Chen and Long Yingyue had attracted everyone's attention. Long Yingyue's face was also extremely ugly. It was not that he was no match for Jiang Chen, but the Long family behind him was already struggling. Whether it was Wu Zhongjiu facing a dozen Divine Emperor experts or the hundreds and thousands of Hierarch experts, they were all pale. Moreover, the battlefield was shrinking step by step. Their situation was worrisome, and if they continued to fight, they would only suffer heavy losses. This was the only outcome, and also an irreversible outcome. Only the battle between Long Yingyue and Jiang Chen could be considered as an equal. The others were struggling and in danger. Damned fella. Long Yingyue snorted and his face was gloomy. He had no choice but to retreat and pull away from Jiang Chen. The current him had no other choice, and the only way was to retreat quickly. He was indeed a little reckless in this battle. He did not expect that Jiang Chen would be able to turn the situation around. Although he had painstakingly prepared for this battle all these years, it was still disrupted by the unknown factor, Jiang Chen, and even caused his people to be seriously injured. From the initial confidence to the current situation, Long Yingyue had completely lost the will to continue fighting. That was because the Long family's losses would only increase if they continued to fight. Jiang Chen had single-handedly turned the situation around, and his hopes of winning were gradually extinguished. Now, it was difficult for him to move an inch, and it was impossible for him to take down the Sorcerer God clan in one fell swoop. After thinking about it, Long Yingyue knew that there was no meaning in continuing to fight. The Long family had suffered heavy losses, and the outcome would be even more miserable. At that time, the other two major forces would be eyeing them covetously, and the Long family was not without enemies. With internal and external troubles, it would be very difficult for him to maintain his position as the patriarch. Today's battle had pained Long Yu to the core, but that bastard Jiang Chen was simply too disappointing. He'd had everything planned out, but the final outcome hadn't gone as he'd hoped. Moreover, He no longer had the confidence to win. If they continued to fight without success, they would be the ones to suffer the most. Today's battle has really broadened my horizons. What a good Jiang Chen. What a good Sorcerer God clan. Ha ha ha. Ninth Wangya, today will end here. I will take my leave. However, the mountains will not change, and the rivers will continue to flow. I will return. Long Inue snorted coldly and looked at Jiang Chen with a serious expression. Then, he waved his hand and slowly retreated. At this moment, Jiang Chen and Wu Zhongjie looked at each other. They had no intention of continuing to chase. This battle was a great loss for both the Long family and the Sorcerer God clan. Although it was not a great loss, the battle that the Long family had schemed for so long had ended in failure. Furthermore, they had left in such a sorry state. Even if the Long family wanted to make things difficult for the Sorcerer God clan, they would have to consider the existence of Jiang Chen and be extremely cautious. After all, the Sorcerer God clan was a great ancient clan, one of the 4 great powers of the divine Great Land. Although the Great Hovering Array was the mainstay of the Sorcerer God clan, without the Great Hovering Array, the Sorcerer God clan would not be easily bullied. After all, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Even if the Long family defeated the Sorcerer God clan in the end, they would still suffer a great loss. Therefore, this battle was only a probing attack for the Dragon clan. If they could really take down the Sorcerer God clan, they would naturally not be so persistent. After Long Inue left, the entire Sorcerer God clan cheered loudly. Jiang Chen and Wu Zhongjie looked at each other and smiled knowingly. Chapter 34-34. He wasn't young anymore. The floating traverser formation was broken and the Sorcerer God clan was in grave danger. However, none of this was important. Jiang Chen's appearance had turned the tide and saved the Sorcerer God clan from the abyss of suffering. Jiang Chen had made a mistake, but he had brought more hope to the Sorcerer God clan. The people of the Sorcerer God clan, especially the experts, knew that they were in a bad situation. The Long family had been eyeing the Sorcerer God clan for so many years. Therefore, when the floating traverser formation was broken, Jiang Chen was the last straw that broke the camel's back. The Long family turned out to attack the Sorcerer God clan, putting the Sorcerer God clan in grave danger. However, the final result was perfect. Jiang Chen's appearance had made the Sorcerer God clan unscathed and ended the Long family's ambition. At least in a short period of time, the Long family would not attack the Sorcerer God clan again because the person they had to be wary of was Jiang Chen. He had become a hero in troubled times with his own strength. His name and figure were like a monument to the Sorcerer God clan. Not everyone was a saint, and everyone made mistakes. However, his merits and demerits offset each other. In this world where only the strong were respected, Jiang Chen had won the respect of many people. The Long family has been defeated this time. I don't think they will dare to attack us again in a short period of time. As for breaking Brother Wu's floating traverser formation, I still feel guilty about it. Jiang Chen said with a smile. Wu Zhongjie waved his hand and laughed. Wu Zhongjie waved his hand and laughed. He was feeling extremely happy and comfortable. Jiang Chen stood between the two superpowers and turned the situation around in an instant. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he might not believe it. Since Jiang Chen was only an early divine emperor, it was already shocking enough. His strength and skills were not something that an ordinary person could compare with. His father's eye for picking a disciple was indeed unparalleled and unique. The battle between the Sorcerer God clan and the Long family will happen sooner or later. Your appearance will only bring forward the battle between our two clans. After this battle, even if the Long family does not suffer a great loss in strength, they will definitely not launch a large-scale invasion. It will not be easy for them to take down the tough bone that is the Sorcerer God clan. As for the floating traversing array, Brother Jiang, you don't have to mention it again. What's done is done. Brother Jiang, you've done enough for the Sorcerer Divine tribe. Not to mention that we're related. It's not too abrupt for me to call you junior brother, right? Ha! Wu Zhongjie said with a smile. Senior brother, you are too serious. It is my honor to fight for the Sorcerer God clan. I have not repaid my master's kindness and caused trouble. Jiang Chen cannot absolve himself from the blame. If you need my help in the future, Jiang Chen will definitely come to help. Jiang Chen said solemnly. He was a person who valued relationships very much. Moreover, King Baran was half a master to him. The relationship between him and the Sorcerer God clan could be said to be one of a kind. Little junior brother, it is a pity that we did not meet earlier today. We must have a good gathering and drink together. The experts of the Sorcerer God clan are full of admiration for you. Wu Zhongjiu said. Yeah, Brother Jiang, since you have such a relationship with our old master, you are a member of the Sorcerer God clan. Everyone has seen your means and abilities. You are indeed a hero in this chaotic world. Today, we must drink 300 cups of wine. Brother Jiang, I am proud of you. In the Divine Emperor realm, you are the king of the kings. Haha. Brother Jiang, you have won the admiration of the 800 heroes of the Sorcerer God clan. We must drink together. Those experts who were originally disdainful of Jiang Chen were completely convinced by Jiang Chen in this battle. Jiang Chen's means were unparalleled. He was even stronger than the ninth Wangya, Wu Zhongjiu. In their eyes, Jiang Chen was the savior of the Sorcerer God clan. Jiang Chen shook his head with a smile. Everyone, senior brother, I really have some urgent matters to attend to, so I can't stay here any longer. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to forcefully break your formation in a moment of desperation. Am I right? Ha! Jiang Chen's face was filled with bitterness. In that case, little junior brother, I will not keep you any longer. When you return, the Sorcerer God clan will definitely celebrate and welcome you back. From now on, little junior brother will share the Sorcerer God clan with me. Wu Chongjiu said solemnly and patted Jiang Chen's shoulder. Jiang Chen sighed in his heart. Wu Chongjiu's words had a double meaning. He was tying himself to the Sorcerer God clan, advancing and retreating together with the Sorcerer God clan. Moreover, he was half a member of the Sorcerer God clan and he was extremely powerful. How could Jiang Chen not understand Wu Chongjiu's words? Jiang Chen did not say much. After all, if the Sorcerer God clan was in trouble, Jiang Chen would definitely not stand by and do nothing. I, Jiang Chen, will forever remember senior brother's great kindness. However, the situation is urgent now. I will not stay here any longer. Until we meet again. Jiang Chen bid farewell to Wu Zhongjiu and the experts of the Sorcerer God clan. Then, he and Wu Ningzhu rushed to the Dongsheng Divine Continent. Dongsheng Divine Continent. Wu Yi Mountain. A cool breeze blew and the water was calm. Birds chirped and the fragrance of flowers permeated the air. A 1,000-year-old green willow was reflected in the lake. A young lady in white stood in the middle of the lake. She leaned against the green willow and a few colorful butterflies danced beside her ears. She was not afraid of the humans in front of her. In the distance, on the bank of willow trees, a young girl of 16 or 17 years old was trotting over. She was graceful, and there was a touch of sadness and bitterness in the corners of her mouth. She was jogging towards the 1,000-year-old willow tree. Aunt Yu, why are you still here? Didn't you say that you have been entrusted with an important task by the clan? The young lady blinked her big and innocent eyes and asked softly. At this moment, Aunt Yu was taking a nap and she did not know if she would disturb Aunt Yu. The eyes of the white-clothed girl, who was called Aunt Yu, slightly moved. She opened her eyes and a cold, bitter smile appeared on her face. She shook her head and sighed. She looked at the girl with the bun hairstyle and her eyes contained a trace of gentleness. In this large clan that was as cold as ice, only this girl could make her heart feel a trace of warmth. Aunt Yu is waiting for someone. As long as he is here, I can complete the task of the clan with a peace of mind. Aunt Yu smiled faintly. She was a charming and enchanting woman that could move flowers and willows. That kind of character that could cause the downfall of a city and state caused the bun-headed girl before her to be filled with adoration. Aunt Yu is devastatingly beautiful. I also want to be like Aunt Yu. Aunt Yu, are you the most beautiful woman in the world? The young lady with the bun hairstyle said softly. She was deep in thought. However, in her eyes, Aunt Yu was the most beautiful woman in the world. Silly girl. There are many people in the world who are more beautiful than Aunt Yu. When you grow up, you will definitely be more beautiful than Aunt Yu. Aunt Yu rubbed the young lady with the bun hairstyle and said with a smile, I am not young anymore. Chapter 34-35. The Battle at the Heaven Prayer Palace. Yes. Rong is not young anymore. Helian Yu nodded. Aunt Yu, is the person you are waiting for very powerful? Will he really come? Helian Rong looked at Aunt Yu and asked seriously. Maybe, but Aunt Yu will definitely wait for that day. Aunt Yu also believes that he will come. Helian Yu looked into the distance with determination because she believed that her big brother would not miss her. As long as he came, she would be able to enter the gate of heaven's will with a peace of mind after seeing him for the last time. Otherwise, it would be her life's regret. Oh, when will there be such a person silently waiting for Rong? Helian Rong's pair of bright eyes moved and said curiously, "Dong, dong, dong." A bell sound reverberated throughout the entire Wind God Valley. Helian Yu suddenly raised her head and looked at the Heaven Prayer Palace. Is something big going to happen in the Helian clan? Aunt Yu, let's go to the Heaven Prayer Palace. This bell sound seems to be summoning all the people in the Helian clan. Helian Rong's little face showed a touch of excitement. All right. Helian Yu nodded and said. The Helian clan was currently in a precarious situation. If it was not for the news of her father, she would have left this place long ago. Only by entering the gate of heaven's will, she might be able to get news of her father. Currently, there were many people in the Heaven Prayer Palace. In the huge Heaven Prayer Palace, there were hundreds of people from the Helian clan. They were all well-known figures in the Helian clan. Most of them were at the Hierarch realm. Those who had not reached the Hierarch realm were not qualified to enter the Heaven Prayer Palace. The 5 elders of the Helian family were seated at the head of the table, with the great elder sitting in the middle. During the period when the clan leader was in seclusion, everything was decided by the great elder, Helian Chongtian. The entire Helian family, apart from the matter of Helian Yuer, was quite harmonious. On the other side, there were 4 people sitting on the ground in groups of 2. These 4 people were the distinguished guests of the Helian clan. Great Elder, I've come here today to fulfill my promise of marriage. Although I've been wandering outside all these years, I've never dared to make any mistakes in the matters of the Dongfeng family. Great Elder, you don't have any objections to my coming here today, right? The white-clothed young man said faintly. His expression was calm and his face was calm. Even though he was facing so many experts of the Helian clan, he was not afraid at all. Beside him, there was a man who looked similar to him. He sat next to him with an arrogant smile on his face. Young Master Dongfeng's words are extremely correct. This marriage agreement was set a long time ago for the sake of our relationship. Naturally, we can't refuse it now. However, Helian Chongtian shook his head, smiled faintly and hesitated. First Elder, there's no harm in speaking your mind. There's no need to hide it. Could it be that my Dongfeng clan is definitely not an unreasonable and inferior clan? The white-robed youth said coldly, but he was somewhat dissatisfied. I'm sorry, young Master Dongfeng. Right now, the Helian clan's clan leader has already entered training. During his closed-door training, he has given me full authority over all matters. However, the clan leader is Yuer's second grandfather, so I don't dare to rashly make a decision on this matter. Everything will have to wait until the clan leader comes out of closed-door training before making a decision. At that time, I will definitely give young Master Dongfeng a satisfactory explanation. Helian Zhongyu said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. What a great move to push the boat with the current. First Elder has really made a good plan. In the blink of an eye, he has kicked the ball away. This really causes me, Dongfeng Lianshua, to feel extremely depressed. Ha ha! The white-clothed young man was shockingly Dongfeng Lianshua, who had fought with Jiang Chen in the Forbidden Land of Divine Prefecture. Dongfeng Lianshua said with a cold smile. The reason why he was able to look down on everyone, and was fearless even in front of the Helian family was naturally because of the existence of the Buddha Pagoda. As a disciple of the All Lives Buddha Hall, which sect in the Dongsheng Divine region dared to disrespect the Buddha Pagoda? Dongfeng Lianshua's overbearingness was naturally related to this. Why are we still wasting words with them? Brother, these fellows are obviously trying to deny it. We definitely can't give them any chance. We definitely can't go back on our words. I, Dongfeng Liani, will be the first to disagree. How can the Dongfeng family's face be easily brushed away by them? Dongfeng Liani, who was standing behind Dongfeng Lianshua, took the lead and said in a deep voice. It was obvious that he was trying to take the Helian family down a notch. The first elder was slightly stunned and there was bitterness at the corner of his mouth. The Dongfeng family was completely different from the other big forces because the genius of the Dongfeng family, Dongfeng Lianshua, was from the Buddha Pagoda. This was something that everyone in the Dongsheng Divine region knew. Therefore, even if they didn't give face to the monks, They had to give face to the Dongfang family. Ha ha ha, Dongfang Lianshua, what a coincidence. Today, I'm also here to propose marriage to Helian Yuer. I guess you'll have to stand aside. There's no woman that I, Shimin Xueqi, can't marry. A sturdy young man stood with his arms crossed and said with a loud laugh. Shimin Xueqi was also extremely domineering. The Shimin family was the same as the Dongfang family. They were both rather powerful families in the Dongsheng divine region. However, Shimin Xueqi wasn't afraid of Dongfang Lianshua at all. He even opposed him with equal harshness. Dongfang Lianshua Langlang said, Shimin, do you really think you're a match for me? Have you forgotten how I beat you up in the past? After so many years, you still have such a bad memory. I'm already engaged to the daughter of the Helian family. Who do you think you are? Are you here to snatch the bride? You're not qualified. The two of you, please calm your anger for now. Firstly, the daughter of my Helian clan is not some commodity. Moreover, this time around, my Helian clan is indeed in a special situation. As long as the clan head comes out of seclusion, he will definitely give the two of you an explanation. Helian Chongtian said in a deep voice. These two fellows came at the same time because they wanted to form a marriage alliance with the Helian family. However, the Helian family didn't want to do it now. The gate of heavens was about to open. Helian couldn't be married out. Otherwise, after so many years, the only genius of the Helian family would be married out. Wouldn't it be like handing over the top genius to someone else? Chapter 34-36. Helian Chongtian was certain that he would not let either the Shimin clan or the Dongfang clan have their way. Helian Yuer could only belong to the Helian clan. As for the marriage, not to mention that Helian Yuer could not be married to two men, the Helian clan was already on the rise. Helian Chongtian would not let the hope of the Helian clan be destroyed in his own hands. Even when the patriarch woke up, he would not allow Yuer to be married. The gate of heavens would only open once every 10 million years. There was only one person who was qualified to enter the gate of heavens and that was Yuer. At this moment, in front of the heavenly prayer palace, two beautiful figures quietly arrived. Their long dresses fluttered in the wind, graceful and graceful. They were like goddesses. It's Yuer. Yuer is here. Helian Zhongyang's eyes lit up. As one of the two strongest geniuses of the Helian clan, he had also been in love with Yuer for a long time. However, Yuer did not seem to be tainted by worldly affairs. She treated everyone the same. Yuer is really too beautiful. She is simply the goddess of my dreams. TSK, don't even think about it. Yuer's talent is something that even Zhang Yang and Feng Chao, those two freaks, could not compare to. What qualifications do you have to stand beside Yuer? Yeah, I wonder what kind of man is qualified to stand beside Yuera. I think that Ronger is also very beautiful. I do not expect to get Yuer's attention. Even if I could be with Ronger, I would still be quite happy. Many members of the Helian clan were discussing among themselves. It wasn't impossible to have an illicit relationship within the same clan. Apart from the marriage, it was entirely possible for them to become husband and wife. Many people were drooling over Yuer. Who wouldn't be moved by such a peerless genius, a peerless goddess? Compared to Yuer, Helian Ronger was still a level lower. Yuer had attracted everyone's attention. Shimin Xueqi and Dongfang Lianshua were both looking at her, unable to shift their gazes away. She is really too beautiful. Such a woman should only exist in the heavens. How many times do you see her in the mortal world? Ha ha ha, Helian Yuer, I want you. Dongfang Lianshua's eyes narrowed slightly and flickered indeterminately, and his eyes carried a trace of covetousness. Who wouldn't want to become husband and wife with such a woman? Moreover, Helian Yuer's talent had already spread far and wide. In a short span of 10 years, the entire Dongsheng divine continent had heard about her talent. Helian Yuer's talent was comparable to Dongfang Lianshua and Shimin Xueqi. Good. Lady Yuer, you're as beautiful as a fairy. You've won me over. I have long heard that Lady Yuer is as beautiful as a swan, and seeing her today, I can see that you truly live up to your reputation. I, Shimin Xueqi, am so shocked that I am like a celestial being. In this life, I will not marry anyone other than Lady Yuer. Shimin Xueqi said without concealing anything. He was full of adoration for Helian Yuer, like a moon surrounded by stars. How can Xueqi be loved by all of you? Xueqi only wants to cultivate in peace. My father is in danger. How can I talk about love? Please leave, Xueqi said faintly. Yuber said faintly. In an instant, it was like a stone that gave rise to 1,000 ripples. The entire heavenly prayer palace became incomparably lively. The people of the Helion clan were extremely happy. Helion Yuer was the goddess in their hearts. Now that the goddess had already expressed her stance, she would definitely not be together with them. Such a tactful rejection had caused Dongfang Lianshua and Shimin Xiongkue to completely lose their confidence. However, the faces of the two of them were not discouraged at all, because they had already made preparations to continue fighting. The Shimin clan and the Dongfang clan had always been incompatible like fire and water. Now, in the Helion clan, it was strangely calm, because they had the same goal. Lady Xueqi is so beautiful that everyone in the world falls head over heels for you. I am no exception. For Lady Xueqi, this young master is willing to go to the 9 heavens to catch the moon and the 5 oceans to catch the turtle for you, just to win Lady Xueqi's heart. Dongfang Lianshua said with a smile. He was also merciless. What he wanted to express was his love for Xueqi. In front of Xueqi, it seemed that any other woman would be overshadowed. Lady Xueqi has already expressed her feelings. Please leave. Now that Lady Xueqi is wholeheartedly cultivating, even if there is a marriage agreement, everything will have to wait until my clan leader comes out of seclusion. I hope that the 2 young masters can forgive me. Helion Chongtian said faintly, neither servile nor overbearing. Although these 2 great clans were the mainstay of the Dongshang divine continent, at this moment, he was completely fearless. Helion Xueqi of the Helion clan was also not inferior to them. Moreover, Helion Xueqi had already become an existence in the entire Dongshang divine continent. Peerless talent, peerless beauty. Such a woman was destined to stand at the top of the pyramid. Ha ha ha, great elder's words have really let me see the means of the Helion clan. Alright, today, I, Dongfang Lianshua, will not argue with you. I only want to know, how long will the Helion clan need to come out of seclusion? Dongfang Lianshua said in an overbearing tone. He took a step forward and looked at the great elder. The great elder's face was solemn as he said in a low voice, at least 3 months at most, half a year. The clan leader of the Helion clan will definitely come out of seclusion. At that time, I believe the clan leader will give young Master Dongfang and young Master Shimin a satisfactory explanation. As for our Xueqi, she is not a commodity. I hope that the 2 young masters can respect themselves. Xueqi's original intention is what we value the most. Everyone was convinced by the great elder's words. Dongfang Lianshua and Shimin Xiongkue could not find any fault with such an outcome. At this time, they could only shrink back and silently wait for the clan leader of the Helion clan to come out of seclusion. Alright, then I will wait for you. If the clan leader of the Helion clan cannot give me an explanation after half a month, then don't blame me, Dongfang Lianshua, for falling out with you. Dongfang Lianshua snorted coldly. At this moment, he did not mention the Dongfang clan, but Dongfang Lianshua. It was to let the Helion clan know that even without the Dongfang clan, he still had another identity. He was a disciple of the Temple of All Living Beings. The strength of the Temple of All Living Beings stood at the peak of the entire divine world. Even if the Temple of All Living Beings was only one of the 8 divisional pagoda, no one dared to look down on it. The Temple of All Living Beings was not something that the Helion clan could easily offend. Dongfang Lianshua's words had put the entire Helion clan in a precarious situation. It was even a little unbearable. This was obviously an attempt to force the Helion clan to abdicate. Moreover, he was using the prestige of the Temple of All Living Beings. However, the morale of the Helion clan was low. Adding on to the fact that they were in the wrong, even the great elder was speechless. The people of the Helion clan also fell into a state of rage. However, they did not dare to say anything. At that time, I, Helion Zhongyang, am willing to meet with Brother Dongfang. Helion Zhongyang said in a deep voice. His eyes were like torches as he looked at Dongfang Lianshua. You. Ha ha ha, you are still not my opponent. I hope that the great elder will remember today's matter. I, Dongfang Lianshua, will definitely return. Lady Xueqi, we will meet again. Chapter 34-37. Haha, I won't stay any longer. I'll pay a visit another day. I hope the Hellion family head will come out of seclusion then. Lady Yu-er, I'll be leaving first. Don't miss me, ha ha ha. Shimen Xueqi and Dongfang Lianshua both left, but the Hellion family was facing internal and external troubles. They had no choice but to rectify the situation. The two great families were forcing the Hellion family to abdicate, and the patriarch was in seclusion. The Hellion family was like a group of dragons without a leader. The great elder's face was a little gloomy. The two great families were obviously taking advantage of the Hellion family. The Hellion family was inferior to the Dongfang family and the Shimen family in the past. Once Hellion Yu-er entered the Gate of Heaven's Will, she would definitely have a chance to surpass the two great families. At that time, even Dongfang Lianshua wouldn't have to be afraid. If the Hellion family became the #1 family in the entire Dongsheng Divine region, even if the All-Beings Futa Temple wanted to touch them, they would have to think twice. This Dongfang Lianshua is really too much. Our Hellion family must not be bullied by him. Yeah, look at how arrogant he is. Does he really think that he can do whatever he wants after joining the All-Beings Futu Temple? That ungrateful thing. Sooner or later, someone will teach him a lesson. The people of the Hellion clan were very angry with Dongfang Lianshua, but they simply couldn't find anyone who could be his enemy. If they could find someone, then they wouldn't have allowed him to continue to be arrogant. Even Hellion Zhongyang was the same. Although he was despised by Dongfang Lianshua, and he was very unhappy in his heart, but if he were to confront Dongfang Lianshua by himself, then he would probably lose. It had to be admitted that Dongfang Lianshua was known as the strongest genius in the entire Dongsheng Divine Continent. His methods and strength were not just for show but for real. He had once destroyed one of the top 20 sects in the Dongsheng Divine Continent with his own strength. His methods caused countless people to tremble in fear, and he became famous after one battle. Moreover, his identity in the Buddha Hall had also become the most eye-catching background for him, and no one dared to be his enemy. Everyone, leave. You stay. The great elder faintly said. Aside from the 5 great elders and Hellion Yu-er, the entire heavenly prayer palace was empty in the blink of an eye. Yu-er, you've seen it for yourself. The family is currently facing internal and external troubles. I know you don't want to enter the Gate of Heaven's Will, but it's no longer up to you. You only have one choice. How long are you going to wait? Don't tell me you want to watch our Hellion family be destroyed in your hands? Yue remained silent, her expression cold. Don't tell me you're going to watch your father die without doing anything? Only by entering the Gate of Heavens will you be able to find news of your father. This is your only choice. At this moment, their only hope was for Hellion Yu-er to enter the Gate of Heavens will obediently and become the mainstay of the Hellion family, helping them to stand on top of the Dongsheng Divine Continent again. I know I carry a heavy burden, but I have my own choice. I'm waiting for someone. When he comes, I'll naturally enter the Gate of Heaven's Will. Yue said in a low voice. Who is it? Is it more important than your father? The 4th elder continued. In other words, Hellion Yue had completely disregarded her father's life and was so unfilial. It was infuriating. Do you really want to force me to my death? If I die, will you be able to get what you want? Yue smiled brightly, an indescribable bitterness at the corner of her mouth. Who could understand the pain in her heart? She had no other thoughts but to see her big brother. As long as her big brother came, she would willingly enter the Gate of Heaven's Will without any worries. The 5 elders looked at each other and held their breaths. Why didn't they think of this? If Yue wanted to die, wouldn't all their efforts be in vain? What was the point of their efforts? The Hellion family would still be like a salted fish, ranked last among the top 10 forces of the Dongsheng Divine Continent. Yue, you should be able to understand our feelings. However, your father once left a prophecy in the Gate of Heaven's Will. There's less than a month left before you enter the Gate of Heaven's Will. You're on your own. The great elder sighed. Yue's delicate body trembled. Her heart was struggling. 1 month. 1 month. Will you come, big brother, or did you not care about me from the beginning to the end? The news of her father was an unparalleled conviction that lingered in her heart. She absolutely could not give up. Yue turned and left the heavenly prayer hall. Her pretty face was filled with gloom. Clear springs, green willows, flowers blooming throughout the 4 seasons. However, her heart was filled with darkness. The willow bank, the breeze and the waning moon. After a few years, It should be a good time for nothing. Even if there were thousands of amorous feelings, who would she share them with? At this moment, Hellion Ronger hopped over. "Aren't you, so many people like you, but you're frowning. If I had so many people who like me, I would be so happy." Hellion Ronger said happily. Her pretty face was filled with innocence and innocence. Xueqi smiled and looked at Hellion Ronger enviously. How good would it be if she could be like her, carefree? Unfortunately, people always have to grow up. After growing up, her heart would no longer be naive. "Let's go. I'll accompany you to relax. You'll get sick sooner or later if you're bored in this Xueqi mountain." Hellion Ronger pulled Xueqi and said, "Go ahead. I just want to be alone. If you meet someone you like, remember to come back and tell me." Xueqi smiled. Her figure was like the wind. She turned and left. Under the shadow of the moon, it was as if she was rushing to the moon. Hellion Ronger scratched her head. She pouted and sighed. Alone, she left the Hellion family and went to play. Just as Hellion Ronger left the Hellion family's territory, she was targeted by someone. At this moment, even she felt that something was wrong and frowned. "Who is it?" "Haha, little girl. Guess who I am? When we met in the heavenly prayer hall, I missed you day and night. Today, I must make you come home with me and be my wife," a young man said with a smile. He stood in front of Hellion Ronger and blocked her way. "You're from the Dongfang family?" Hellion Ronger's eyes turned cold. Lung Lung said, "This person didn't look like a good person. He actually wanted to capture her and make her his wife." "Pah! You're really shameless. Only a ghost would want to be your wife." Hellion Ronger sneered. Chapter 34-38. Dongfang Lieni squinted his eyes and looked at Hellion Ronger with a smile. The corner of his mouth showed his covetousness. He had been waiting here for many days for the appearance of Hellion Ronger. No one knew that he had already coveted Hellion Ronger back in the Heaven Prayer Palace. If his elder brother, Dongfang Lianshua, could accept the marriage alliance with the Hellion clan, then he would definitely take advantage of the victory and directly propose to Hellion Ronger. However, his elder brother didn't get what he wanted, so Dongfang Lianshua could only choose to give up. Therefore, Dongfang Lianshua had left, but he had always stayed here, looking forward to Hellion Ronger leaving the Hellion clan. At this moment, Dongfang Lieni could be said to be blessed. He had been waiting for this moment. His wild ambition was clear. The corner of Dongfang Lieni's mouth was extremely cold, causing Hellion Ronger's pretty face to turn cold. "This guy, is he going to make a move on me now? You really dare to make a move on me? Humph, aren't you afraid that the Hellion clan will attack your Dongfang clan?" Hellion Ronger snorted coldly. "Ha ha ha, I'm looking forward to this day. If your Hellion clan attacks my Dongfang clan, won't you become my slave? If you listen to me obediently, maybe I'll let you be my concubine. If you don't, you know the consequences. I really like you, little girl." Dongfang Lieni rubbed his palms and approached Hellion Ronger step by step. His smile was so evil that it made Hellion Ronger want to vomit. "Don't even think about it," Hellion Ronger said arrogantly. Her strength had reached the late hierarch realm. Although she could not compete with those divine emperor realm experts, her strength was definitely extremely strong in the Dongsheng divine region, or even the central region divine land. In the entire Hellion clan, she could be considered as one of the most powerful young geniuses after Hellion Zhongyang and the others. Hellion Ronger was spoiled since childhood. Being in the Hellion clan, she held a high position and naturally did not put anyone in her eyes. So what if it was the young master of the Dongfang clan? What a stubborn little girl. This young master likes the way you struggle. I can't wait any longer, Gagaga. Dongfang Lieni went straight to Hellion Ronger like a bolt of lightning. His strength was much stronger than Hellion Ronger, even reaching the peak hierarch realm. The long sword in his hand slashed towards Hellion Ronger. Hellion Ronger let out a tender shout. Not to be outdone, she continued to form seals with her hands. One powerful seal after another closed in. Although Dongfang Lianshua was startled, he did not panic. He did not expect this little girl to be so fiery. Hellion Lieni Ronger. Dongfang Lieni's sword chi buzzed, and it was soul-stirring. Rays of sword chi shot out, rendering Hellion Ronger completely useless. The seals in her hands changed again and again, but she was still unable to resist this crazy sword force. In the end, more than half of her clothes were cut off, and her beautiful legs and arms were all revealed. Her snow-white skin made Dongfang Lianyi's eyes shine even brighter, and he was already drooling. Helian Rong, Er's face suddenly changed. Her body trembled. She was so weak that her clothes could no longer cover her body. Helian Rong, retreated again and again. However, she was firmly locked on by Dongfang Lianyi. There was no chance for her to escape. Helian Rong, even began to cry in her heart. She was afraid. She was afraid to face Dongfang Lianyi, who was like a devil. She did not know what to do. Ha 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 ha. You little girl, let's see how you can escape from my palm today. Dongfang Lianyi's smile was incomparably brilliant as he approached step by step. Helian Rong, was so frightened that her beautiful face turned pale, and her heart was filled with incomparable fear. She had never thought that she would suffer such humiliation and even torture after leaving the Helian clan. Her dreamlike world had been greatly threatened, and the beautiful expectations of love between her and Aunt Yu had all become empty talk. At this moment, she was about to face a wild beast that was like a ferocious tiger. Perhaps in the next second, she would no longer have the face to continue living in this world. Little beauty, you're mine now, ha ha ha. Dongfang Lianyi was like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. He directly rushed towards Helian Rong. Helian Rong, retreated step by step. Her body was constantly trembling and her pretty face was pale. This Dongfang Lianyi actually wanted to torture her. At this moment, no matter how innocent Helian Rong was, she knew what Dongfang Lianyi's intention was. Dongfang Lianyi was about to pounce on Helian Rong. At this moment, a cold light directly stood in front of Dongfang Lianyi. Dongfang Lianyi's face suddenly changed. He broke out in a cold sweat. He was so scared that he almost shriveled up. Fuck your mother. Who is it? Come out now. Dongfang Lianyi said with a dry mouth. This sword was too strange. He had never seen or heard of such a sword. He was a sword principal cultivator, but he had never seen such an overbearing sword chi. Only his elder brother, Dongfang Lianxua, could have such a power. At this moment, a white-haired young man with a huge sword on his back walked out slowly. His eyes were cold and resolute, without a single shred of emotion. His face was cold and merciless, without a single shred of emotion. His face was cold and merciless. Dongfang Lianyi and Helian Rong, Er's faces instantly changed. Get lost, the white-haired man said coldly as if he was unwilling to say another word. Haha, kid, I don't care who you are. I'll make you beg for death if you ruin my plan. No one dares to talk to me like this in the Dongsheng Divine region. Dongfang Lianyi laughed and said while holding the sword in his hand tightly. It seemed that he must teach this arrogant white-haired kid a lesson in today's battle. Dongfang Lianxua originally thought that the opponent was a top expert, but he was only a peak hierarch. He was the strongest genius of the Dongfang clan. How could he be weaker than a kid? Dongfang Lianyi had 100% chance to kill the opponent under the situation where both of their strengths were almost the same. The white-haired man's expression was calm. He didn't care about what Dongfang Lianyi said. His eyes were still cold as he silently stared at Dongfang Lianyi. There was even a hint of killing intent in his eyes. What he hated the most were people who bullied women. At this moment, the sword in the white-haired man's hand was getting colder and colder. Chapter 34-39. Aunt Yu, is this the feeling of love? Helian Ronger murmured in her heart. Looking at the white-haired young man, she felt intoxicated. Even his appearance made her feel at ease, comfortable, and even excited. The original haze was swept away, but she was still that gentle and weak girl, still that naive girl full of longing. Scram or die, the white-haired young man said in a deep voice. His expression was still indifferent, as if he did not take the white-haired young man seriously at all. No matter how powerful this guy's background is, so what? His strength was only It wouldn't be too difficult for him to kill him. Stubborn fool, do you still naively think that you can escape from my palm at this time? You overestimate yourself. You will definitely die in today's battle. Dongfang Lianyi pointed his sword at the white-haired young man. Ruthless and decisive. He didn't retreat in the slightest as he rushed towards the white-haired young man. At this moment, the two silhouettes merged together once again. Sword light shot out in all directions, exuding a peerless aura. The same amount of sword qi intertwined with each other, but the white-haired young man's sword qi was getting stronger and stronger. Light of the East. Dongfang Lieni directly displayed his special skill, the determination of the Dongfang clan. He continuously attacked with unparalleled sword momentum. Because of this battle, his situation was getting more and more difficult, and it was quite terrifying. The white-haired young man's sword momentum was fierce, and it was indeed something he had never seen in his life. He must not fail miserably. Limitless sword. Fifth sword. Sixth sword. Seventh sword. The white-haired young man's eyes were sharp, and his sword momentum was shocking. From the moment he gave up, he finally comprehended the limitless sword. Trembling in despair, hysterical in despair, he finally mastered the limitless sword. That night, Wang Fengqi's heart experienced endless tearing. That night, Wang Fengqi's inner world completely collapsed. That night, Wang Fengqi felt that the only thing that supported him in this world was revenge. Entering the petrified sect, he thought that he could soar to the sky, that he could travel the world, and that everything was just the beginning of a nightmare. There were more than 10 senior brothers in the petrified sect, and they all coveted Sister Feng's beauty. While he was cultivating, she was ravaged to death by more than 10 senior brothers. That kind of hopeless torment, the baptism of life and death. He did not dare to imagine how much pain Sister Feng had experienced, and how terrifying that inhuman torture was. Wang Fengqi didn't dare to speculate. When he saw Sis Feng, over 10 senior apprentice brothers had already ravaged her to the point where she was on the verge of death. Wang Fengqi was on the verge of collapse, his inner world completely collapsing. In that instant, there was only hatred in his eyes. Sis Feng's final look of despair, her agonized howls, he simply couldn't bear to look at her. In that instant, he bitterly hated this world, hated every single person in the petrified sect, hated every flower, every blade of grass, every mountain, every river. Under his rage, Wang Fengqi fought with more than 10 people, fought with life and death, and killed more than 10 hierarch realm experts. In the end, he comprehended the limitless sword. However, it was all too late, because Sister Feng was already dead and completely tainted, and he was powerless to do anything about it. Wang Fengqi could only kill countless people in the petrified sect, and finally escaped from the petrified sect. He became a traitor of the petrified sect, and was wanted by the petrified sect. Everyone had the right to kill him. That night, Wang Fengqi's hair turned white. The most painful thing in the world was this. The torture that Wang Fengqi suffered was also incomparable. That choice of life and death, that painful reincarnation, he would rather be the one who died. He would rather that all of this had never happened. He also did not bring Sister Feng along to the so-called petrified sect to seek a higher realm. But everything was already too late. He no longer had any room to choose. The dead had already passed away, and the pain of despair was something he would never forget. Sister Feng's miserable appearance at that moment, as well as the despairing look in her eyes, was something he would never forget. The limitless sword swept across, and in a flash, it shattered the light shadow in the void. The sword shadow was completely shattered, and Dongfang Liani's sword shadow was also shattered at this moment. His throat was slit, and he didn't even have the chance to cry out in despair. It was such a tragic scene that it was hard to look at. Dongfang Liani died, but Helian Rong did not have a shred of sympathy. Wang Fengqi did not even look at him. Such a man's death was not to be pitied. No matter who he was, it was impossible for him to live in this world. In his eyes he was a beast through and through. "Thank you, white-haired hero," Helian Rong said in a low voice. At this moment, she had already changed into a clean and tidy set of clothes. She was not as naked as before. "It's nothing." After saying that, Wang Fengqi turned around and left. "White-haired hero, can you tell me your name?" Helian Rong said in a low voice. Her heart was in a mess. For the first time, she felt that taking the initiative to ask for a man's name was actually this kind of feeling. Even her charming face was boiling. Names are just a code in the sea. Meeting by chance means that we are fated. If we are fated, we will naturally meet again. Wang Fengqi did not seem to stop and continued to walk forward. Fate is determined by the heavens. 30% depends on striving, and 70% depends on hard work. So in other words, fate is determined by the heavens. If you want to go against the heavens, it is very difficult. You might even need to work hard to have a trace of hope. But if you don't work hard, it will be even more difficult. From the moment you appeared, I knew that we were fated. Hellion Rong, said very seriously. Her words were not groundless. The great divination art of the Hellion family had given her a trace of comprehension. This person seemed to be inextricably linked to her life. Although she was not sure, the moment he appeared, he was deeply embedded in her heart. You are an interesting person. Wang Fengqi turned around and glanced at Hellion Rong. I know that you are definitely looking for someone. Moreover, your life seems to have undergone a major turning point. You are in so much pain that you wish you were dead. Hellion Rong, words caused Wang Fengqi's pupils to shrink. His complexion became more and more unsightly. Who are you? How do you know? Wang Fengqi's heart could not help but surge. What was the background of this girl? Why did she know everything about him? They did not know each other, so why would she say these words? Moreover, every word was true. Although Wang Fengqi was unwilling to admit it, her words had become a prophecy. I am from the Hellion family. My great divination art can help you predict the future. However, it is very limited because my cultivation of the great divination art is not high enough. Chapter 3440. You can predict the future? Wang Fengqi was slightly moved. This girl was not simple. Although she was not as strong as Dongfang Lieni, she was already a late hierarch realm expert and should not be underestimated. The Hellion clan should be the Dongsheng Divine Region's transcendental clan. Then, can you guide me in the future? Where is the person I'm looking for? When will I be able to find him? Wang Fengqi asked in a low voice. I'll try. Hellion Ronger knew that her cultivation base was limited, but she did not want Wang Fengqi to leave just like that. She wanted to repay his kindness. Thank you. Wang Fengqi nodded slightly. Give me your hand. Hellion Ronger's face was slightly red. The moment she held Wang Fengqi's hand, her heart couldn't help but tremble. She had never had any contact with a man before. Although the huge hand was covered with calluses, it made Hellion Ronger's heart ache incomparably. His eyes were full of coldness and despair, making one's heart ache. Hellion Ronger tightly held onto Wang Fengqi's hand. At that moment, her face, which was originally blushing, turned red, and then paled. In less than 20 breaths of time, Hellion Ronger's entire body seemed to be trembling, and even the sweat on her face couldn't stop flowing down. Are you all right? Wang Fengqi frowned and could not help but ask. I'm fine. Hellion Ronger bit her red lips and finally spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was flushed. Wang Fengqi was quite worried as he gently wiped the sweat off her face. In that scene, Hellion Ronger seemed to have seen the person Wang Fengqi wanted to find. However, she was beaten back by an extremely terrifying force. However, she had risked her life. At least, she knew where the person he wanted to find was. Did you find anything? Wang Fengqi asked. Yes, the person you're looking for should also be in the Dongsheng Divine Region. But I can't see him. He seems to be like a cloud of fog. I didn't find anything at all. Wang Fengqi's eyes lit up and his expression seemed to have changed. As long as his master was in the Dongsheng Divine Region, it was enough. He believed that he could definitely find his master. Thank you, young lady. We will meet again. Wang Fengqi nodded heavily to express his gratitude. But you can't stay here anymore. If you do, you'll definitely be hunted down by the Dongfang family. You've killed Dongfang Lieni, so the Dongfang family won't let you go. As long as you're still in the Dongsheng Divine Region, you won't be able to hide from the Dongfang family. Hellion Ronger's face was pale. She was extremely worried about Wang Fengqi's safety. However, Wang Fengqi's face was calm as if he did not care about the Dongfang clan at all. The Dongfang clan was so terrifying that even the Hellion clan had to be courteous to them. Wang Fengqi, a hierarch realm fella, had caused the Dongfang clan to be drunk and killed one of their most powerful geniuses. They would definitely not let this matter go. As long as I can find Master, everything will be worth it. I will not leave the Dongsheng Divine Continent. Since Master is still here, he might be right in front of me. If I leave, where should I go to find Master? Wang Fengqi said firmly. White-haired hero, you don't know how terrifying the Dongfang clan is. No one can compete with them. If you insist on staying here, you'll probably put yourself in danger. You've killed Dongfang Lieni. If you don't leave now, you won't be able to escape from the Dongsheng Divine Region. Helian Rong Air was very anxious, but Wang Fengqi was quite calm. He did not show any emotions on his face, as if he was not afraid of anything. Wang Fengqi took 2 steps forward and suddenly stopped. With his back facing Helian Rong Air, he said faintly, "I'm Wang Fengqi. I'm Rong Air, white-haired hero. I'll call you Brother Qi from now on." Wang Fengqi's entire body trembled, and his inner world was incomparably conflicted. He seemed to recall that naive and unaffected girl, little sister Feng. Unfortunately, everything could not be redone. Little sister Feng was already dead, and now he was all alone. Other than taking revenge on the petrified sect, he had no other conviction to continue living. Helian Rong Air seemed to be very happy and excited. However, she was still very worried about Wang Fengqi. Before Wang Fengqi could leave her line of sight, Helian Rong Air saw a stream of light soaring into the sky. It traversed 3,000 miles and directly cut through the void, blocking Wang Fengqi's path. Wang Fengqi was knocked back. His face was pale and he was seriously injured. He directly fell beside Helian Rong Air. "Brother Qi." Helian Rong Air immediately hugged Wang Fengqi. Her eyes were filled with fear. Wang Fengqi, who was knocked back, had been seriously injured with just one sword. "Brother Qi, don't scare me. Are you okay?" Helian Rong Air kept calling out, but Wang Fengqi had already spat out several mouthfuls of blood. It was extremely difficult for him to breathe. However, Wang Fengqi was not willing to lie in Helian Rong Air's embrace. He held the long sword in his hand and supported his injured body to stand up. "You killed my brother. How dare you? Today, I will definitely crush your bones and scatter your ashes. I will make your family disappear from the divine realm." An imposing figure stood in front of Helian Rong Air and Wang Fengqi and shouted in a deep voice. The sword in his hand was constantly trembling, and his anger was soaring. "Dongfang Lianshua!" Helian Rong Air exclaimed. She did not expect this guy to come so quickly. The death of Dongfang Liani had completely infuriated Dongfang Lianshua. He was even filled with anger. Killing intent was revealed in his eyes. He did not intend to give the 2 of them any way to live. What a girl from the Helian family. You are indeed a femme fatale. Today, both of you must die. Dongfang Lianshua roared angrily, which made Wang Fengqi's face turn even paler. This guy's strength was really too strong. The power of one sword was unparalleled, making people unable to compete with him. This kind of strength had at least broken through the Divine Emperor realm, or even surpassed it. "Dongfang Lianshua, if you want to kill, just kill me. This matter has nothing to do with Brother Qi. Dongfang Liani was also killed by me. If you want to kill me, just do as you please." Helian Rong Air suddenly stood in front of Wang Fengqi, protecting him behind her. She said in a low voice, and her face also became very gloomy. How could you kill Liani? However, both of you must die. You don't have to be anxious. After killing one, I don't mind sending the 2 of you to die together. At least you will have a companion on the road to the Yellow Springs." Chapter 34-41. Dongfang Lianshua was also incomparably sorrowful. At this moment, he was struggling in his heart. He was determined to burn the 2 of them to ashes, unable to resolve the hatred in his heart. "I killed her. If you are still a man, then let her go." Wang Fengqi said indifferently. "You dare to talk terms with me? Ha ha, who do you think you are? Who I want to kill? What does it have to do with you? If I like, then I will kill. Both of you go to hell." Dongfang Lianshua roared and took a step forward. The might of a sword rippled out, like the blazing sun of the 9 heavens, scarlet like light. As Wang Fengqi turned around, he protected Helian Ronger behind him and took Dongfang Lianshua's sword head-on. That sword completely made him kneel on the ground. His face was pale, blood was flowing, and his aura was extremely weak. He was on the verge of death, and could die at any time. "No!" Helian Ronger cried out in surprise. Her charming face was filled with disbelief and sorrow. At that moment, she knew that her heart had been touched. For the white-haired hero in front of her. For the man she had never met before. Was this the love that Aunt you spoke of? Why are you still not leaving? Wang Fengqi roared angrily, wanting her to take this opportunity to leave quickly. A pair of dogs, humph. Dongfang Lianshua was furious. Death for them was too easy. Another sword slashed out. Dongfang Lianshua used 70% of his strength. Limitless sword. Eighth sword. Wang Fengqi risked his life to protect Helian Ronger. At this moment, he actually used the eighth sword, and his strength had another breakthrough. However, for Dongfang Lianshua, it was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. Dongfang Lianshua's pupils constricted, and his expression changed. What a familiar sword technique. What was the relationship between this guy and that Jiang Chen? You know Jiang Chen? Dongfang Lianshua said in a low voice, and did not continue to attack. You know my master too? Wang Fengqi was stunned. He was already in a state of desolation and was about to fall. However, this guy was already at odds with him. Even if he knew about his master, he would not tell him. If he was in front of me, I would tear him to pieces. Since you're his apprentice, I'll kill you first to collect interest. You master and apprentice are really annoying. I'll imprison your soul for 10 million years, making it impossible for you to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Dongfang Lianshua clenched his teeth, wishing he could devour his flesh. You don't have the qualifications to touch my disciple. At this moment, Jiang Chen was standing proudly with his arms crossed. He looked down at Dongfang Lianshua from above. Master? Wang Fengqi cried out in alarm. He abruptly lifted his head as his entire body trembled. It was as if his inner world had finally found its home. Jiang Chen. It's really you. Dongfang Lianshua's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. At this moment, Jiang Chen's appearance was exactly what he wanted. This pair of loathsome master and disciple could also be wiped out in one fell swoop. Jiang Chen and Dongfang Lianshua looked at each other with a cold expression and sneered. I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. You dare to attack a hierarch realm expert. You're getting more and more arrogant. Dongfang Lianshua, it's a pity that you didn't die in my hands. Ha ha ha, do you really think you can kill me? Who do you think you are? If it wasn't for your speed, you'd be a walking corpse now. Dongfang Lianshua curled his lips and sighed. Really? If it wasn't for Louis XVII, how could you have survived? It's true that I'm no match for both of you, but it's still more than enough for me to kill you. I didn't expect to meet you here today. Killing you is just a piece of cake for me. I'm Jiang Chen's disciple. He isn't someone you can handle. Jiang Chen said confidently. Really? Looks like you've overestimated yourself. With your strength, do you really think you can change your fate? Today, I'll send you two fugitives to hell together. Dongfang Lianshua and Jiang Chen were at each other's throats. Their eyes were filled with killing intent, causing Wang Fengqi and Helian Rong to shiver as they felt the murderous aura. He's your master? He looks strong, but is he really a match for Dongfang Lianshua? Rong glanced at Wang Fengqi and said in a low voice. At this moment, Wang Fengqi was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He did not let his master down. His strength had broken through and mastered the limitless sword. He did not embarrass his master. That's right. He's my master. The person I'm looking for is also him. Wang Fengqi was extremely excited. With his master here, nothing would be a problem. This Dongfang Lianshua will definitely die without a burial place. So what if he's a genius of the Dongfang clan? He can't be compared to his master. Watch from the side. What is the real limitless sword? Today, I'll use this guy as a sacrifice to the sword. I'll let you truly comprehend the overbearingness of the limitless sword. You're too naive. In the territory of my Dongxing divine region, you won't be able to escape from my palm. Jiang Chen, if you kneel on the ground and beg me now, I might leave your corpse intact. If you're soft, you'll die a horrible death. Your disciple will also die a horrible death. Dongfang Lianshua sneered. The determination in the depth of his eyes was terrifying. So what if it's the Dongxing divine region? Even in the central region divine land, why would I be afraid of you? Ha ha ha, just the All Beings Pagoda Hall and you're so arrogant. Do you really think you're the 8-divisional pagoda? Jiang Chen snorted. Alright, I'll let you understand that the dignity of my Buddha's pagoda can't be violated. Your disciple killed my younger brother, and you killed my junior brother. Annihilating both of you today can be considered as helping the people get rid of evil and allow them to rest in peace in the netherworld. Dongfang Lianshua held the sword in his hand tightly and said indifferently. He didn't want to waste his breath on Jiang Chen anymore. In this battle he must kill him. Back then in the forbidden land of the divine region, Jiang Chen managed to escape. Now, Jiang Chen would definitely not be able to escape from his palm. As you wish. You'll die with integrity. Jiang Chen smiled. He held the sword in his hand and was ready to fight against Dongfang Lianshua. Yan Qingqing and Wu Ningzhu stood on the left and right of Jiang Chen. Both Wang Fengqi and Helian Ronger were shocked. Only Aunt Yu could be compared to such a woman. Brother Qi's master is really too powerful. These two should be master's wives, right? Wang Fengqi couldn't help but exclaim. However, the person he admired the most was still his master. His master must be a supreme expert. Looks like there's going to be a battle of life and death today. I need to quickly inform the clan. Chapter 34-42. In the Wu Yi Mountain, the mountain flowers had fallen and the mountain was still there. The cool breeze was gentle, but her heart was heavy. Helian Yu sighed and stared at the tall mountains. Helian Yu's face was filled with helplessness and sighing. She had waited for him for a long time, but there was still no sign of him coming. At that moment, Helian Yu felt a little hopeless. For her father, for the Helian clan, she had no choice but to enter the Gate of Heaven's Will. The Gate of Heaven's Will was an ancient inheritance of the Helian clan. Until now, those who entered the Gate of Heaven's Will were all outstanding talents of the Helian clan. It was a great fortune for Helian Yu to have the opportunity to enter the Gate of Heaven's Will. However, once she entered the Gate of Heaven's Will, all her memories would be erased. In other words, she would become a new person, a person who would never have any memories of the past. Her father, grandfather, big brother, and everyone in the Helian clan would even forget. At that moment, she would inherit the inherited memories of the Helian clan from the immemorial era. At that time, Helian Yu knew that she would no longer be herself. There were bound to be many choices in life. You would lose something if you gained something. Helian Yu never hoped that she could be the best in the world. She never hoped that she could become a true leader in this world. She only wanted to be with the person she cared about for a long time. That was enough. However, there was a limit to one's strength. She couldn't change the current situation. She couldn't make the Helian clan one of the few clans in the entire Dongshang divine continent. She couldn't get news of her father. Only by entering the Gate of Heaven's Will could she change everything. The Gate of Heaven's Will was her only chance, and also the hope of the entire Helian clan. Helian Yu turned around and prepared to step into the Heaven Prayer Hall. In the Heaven Prayer Hall, the 5 great elders looked at Helian Yu with solemn eyes. Every one of them had a meaningful look of joy in their eyes because this day had finally come. Although the clan leader hadn't woken up from his seclusion, Helian Yu had already made all the preparations to enter the Gate of Heaven's Will. This was a joyous occasion for the entire Helian clan. It's good that you can make a good decision. Yu I believe that you will definitely become the strongest genius of our Helian family in the past 1,000,000 years. You will definitely surpass your father. Great Elder Helian Changtian said in a deep voice as he looked at Helian Yu. At this moment, she had already become the hope and darling of the entire Helian clan. For Yu to choose to enter the Gate of Heaven's Will at this time, she's really very righteous, ha ha ha. At that time, even if Dongfang clan and Shiman clan come knocking on our door, it will be useless. That's right, Yu can be said to have killed 2 birds with 1 stone this time. Not only can she delay the problem of them finding trouble with the Helian family, she can also lead our Helian family to glory. This is truly worthy of celebration. Yu the day you return in triumph will definitely be the day when the Helian family rises to the top. We are proud of you. The few elders were very excited. They looked at Helian Yu and nodded repeatedly. It was as if they were looking at their own granddaughter. Great Elder, I only wish to know about my father, Helian Yu said with a solemn expression. Sigh, since things have come to this, I can't hide it from you anymore. Your father disappeared in the Gate of Heaven's Will. Although he left behind a trace of his will, it has completely disappeared since then. For so many years, no one has been able to enter the Gate of Heaven's Will. Even the previous clan leaders couldn't catch up. This time, when you enter the Gate of Heaven's Will, you not only shoulder the glory of the Helian family, but also the heavy responsibility of finding news of your father. You must be careful. The Great Elder said with great concern. He was also worried that Helian Yuer would completely disappear in the Gate of Heavens will like her father, never to be heard from again. Because of this, the Helian family would also be attacked from all sides and be unable to recover. The Helian family was able to occupy a position among the top 10 families of the Dongxing divine continent by relying on searching for the secrets of heaven. Moreover, it was the last place. If they couldn't search for the secrets of heaven, they would fall even further behind. Even many families and sects that came later could stand on top of them and shit on them. Therefore, although they were an old sect in the Dongxing divine continent, they only existed in name. If it wasn't for the fact that their existence was extremely special, perhaps they would have long been spurned by others. I hope you didn't lie to me, Great Elder. Helian Yuer nodded, turned around, and went straight to the Heavens Will mountain range. The Gate of Heavens Will was there. Just as Helian Yuer's figure disappeared in the sky, Helian Ronger appeared above the Heaven Prayer Palace. She was in a hurry and her face was full of seriousness. Aunt you, wait for me! Helian Ronger exclaimed, but she was stopped by the third elder and the others. Ronger, why are you in such a hurry? What happened? The third elder asked. I have to hurry and find Aunt Yu for help. When I went out to play, I met Dongfang Lieni of the Dongfang family. He wanted to molest me, but he was killed by a white-haired youth. Then, Dongfang Lianshua appeared again and almost killed the two of us. At this time, the master of the white-haired youth appeared again. I'm afraid that the two of them might not be a match for Dongfang Lianshua. We have to hurry and save them. I have to find Aunt Yu. Helian Ronger said anxiously. No need. Whether what you said is true or false, you don't have to go. The great elder said in a deep voice. Why? That person is in danger because he wanted to save me. Shouldn't we go and save him? Helian Ronger said stubbornly. The great elder shook his head helplessly. Putting aside the strength of the Dongfang family, they definitely couldn't afford to offend them. If they really angered Dongfang Lianshua, then their situation would be quite dangerous. More importantly, Dongfang Lieni was already dead. That was his younger brother. The cause of this matter was Helian Ronger. Although she was saved, the other person who killed Dongfang Lieni couldn't escape misfortune. At this moment, it was impossible for them to let Helian Ronger go back. It would be a humiliation to them, and it might even put the Helian family in danger. Once they fought with Dongfang Lianshua, it would be equivalent to declaring war with the Dongfang family. They would absolutely not allow such a price to be paid. If there was a little negative factor, they would be strangled in the cradle. Moreover, Helian Yuer was about to enter the Gate of Heaven's Will. How could they let Helian Ronger appear and cause unnecessary trouble? Now that you've returned safely, don't cause trouble for no reason. The Dongfang family is not so easy to provoke. Since the two people you mentioned offended the Dongfang family, then they should be prepared to die. Our Helian family will definitely not start a war with the Dongfang family because of those two people. The great elder said righteously. Chapter 34-43. Helian Ronger was completely dumbfounded. Those two people were suppressed by Dongfang Lianshua because they wanted to save her. If something really happened to them, how could she face it? She originally thought that if she told the whole story to the elders, they would definitely help her. But now, it seemed that she was too naive. Great Elder, how can you leave us in the lurch? Helian Ronger begged bitterly. She even hoped to use her own life to exchange for the master and disciple. If she stayed in the Helian family like this, they might not forget her even in death, thinking that she had escaped. Helian Ronger's heart was filled with despair and unwillingness. Humph. Nonsense. We are putting the interests of the family first. How can you understand? Do you want to be as stubborn as Yuer? But even Yuer has now turned over a new leaf and entered the Gate of Heaven's Will. Fifth brother, lock her up and face the wall for 30 years. She is not allowed to go out. Teach her the rules of our Helian family. The great elder flicked his sleeves and left with a gloomy face. Helian Ronger's appearance at this time must not disrupt their plan. As for the people she mentioned, what did their lives have to do with them? It was not that they were heartless, but for the sake of the overall situation, some people were destined to die. Those two unrelated people could only be considered unlucky. No, don't. Great Elder, they will die. They will be killed by Dongfang Lianshua. Don't. Helian Ronger's delicate body trembled continuously. Looking in the direction that Aunt Yu left, her heart was filled with despair.
She thought that the great elder and the others were benevolent, that they were righteous, that they were virtuous and respected, that they would lend a helping hand, that they thought her guesses and hopes had all turned into the pain of despair.
Her young heart had also suffered a great blow at this moment, and her inner world had nearly collapsed. Ever since she was young, her parents and elders had taught her to be kind and charitable, to know how to repay kindness. This was the cycle of the heavens, and retribution was not pleasant. However, in the end, they had completely changed her view of this world. Their incomparably lofty image in her heart had completely collapsed at this moment. For Hellion Ronger, she simply hoped that her savior could be saved. She only wanted to use her meager strength to salvage this desperate battle of life and death. However, the great elder and the others were just too cold.
In their eyes, there seemed to be nothing else worthy of their sympathy and pursuit other than the interests of the clan.
Great elder, I've always remembered the teachings of our ancestors, to be raised by the good and raised by the evil. With a clear conscience, the heavenly mandate is boundless.
Hellion Ronger's delicate voice entered their ears, causing the great elder and the others to tremble.
Good nature nurtures, evil nature prostitutes. With a clear conscience, one's destiny is boundless. This was the Hellion family's ancestral teachings.
However, did they still remember the idea that humans were born with good natures that had been instilled into the Hellion family since young? Perhaps, all of this no longer existed from the moment they were in a high position. What they thought was no longer simply sharing the same lifespan as the heavens and the earth. Instead, they thought about how to plot against each other and how to step onto the peak of power. Humanity had gradually disappeared in the countless years of reincarnation that they had lived in. Heaven's will mountain, the gate of heaven's will. Hellion Yuer waved her hand. Above the void, there seemed to be a familiar figure rippling.
It was like the voice and smile of her big brother. However, she had no more time. Everything could only end at this moment. Reincarnation was too cruel for Hellion Yuer. However, she had no other choice. It was like walking from the beginning to the end of life. From the moment she stepped into the gate of heaven's will, Hellion Yuer was destined to die. There would no longer be any news of her appearing in this world. I'm sorry, big brother. I can't see you one last time. I'm sorry. Yuer misses you. I'm sorry. I've never forgotten you. Big brother, promise me, don't forget to see me, okay?
Hellion Yuer murmured as she looked across the void.
I know you will definitely come. It's just that I can't wait for that day. Big brother, do I have a place in your heart? Do you like me?
However, everything is no longer important. From this moment onwards, Yuer will enter the gate of heaven's will. After entering the gate of heaven's will, I will no longer be me. My soul will have all my memories erased. At that moment, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'll forget you. I'm afraid that I'll never see Big Brother again. I'm afraid that I'll cry. Hellion Yuer knelt on the ground with tears streaming down her face. Her heart was filled with bitterness. No one knew how bitter that feeling was. She had been unwilling to enter the gate of heaven's will because she wanted to see her big brother one last time. She wanted to enter and search for traces of her father. However, she knew that once she entered, it would be an eternal farewell. She would never have the chance to see her big brother again. In her memory, there would only be the ancient inheritance of the Hellion clan. Her past would be erased bit by bit. Sister Ling, big brother, Yuer misses you. Grandpa seems to be together with you. If I'm together with you, will Yuer not have to experience all these? Will I be able to yearn for forever and follow Big Brother forever? Hellion Yuer was already sobbing uncontrollably. However, she had no choice. The moment she stepped into the gate of heaven's will, everything would return to zero. Everything would start anew. When she was young, she loved to chase her dreams and only wanted to fly forward. However, Hellion Yuer knew that everything she did was futile. When she became the only hope of the clan, when she stepped on this path of no return, she already understood this logic. However, it was already too late to turn back. Life became fragile at this moment. She wasn't afraid of death. She was afraid that she would never see her big brother again. She wasn't afraid of dissipating in this world. She was only afraid that her big brother would never exist in her memory again. How could she live? Hellion Yuer's eyes were filled with tears. She staggered towards the gate of heaven's will. Her inner world had long collapsed. There was no joy or sorrow in her heart. When she turned back, she was no longer herself. At this moment, Jiang Chen suddenly looked at the void above in the direction of the Hellion clan. He didn't know why, but at this moment, his heart was in pain. It was as if he had lost his most beloved thing.
Yuer, are you still there? Are you waiting for me?
Chapter 34-44. Fighting with me and you still dare to be distracted? Jiang Chen, you're courting death. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Lianshua's eyes were cold as killing intent surged. With the divine spear in his hand, he soared up and unleashed consecutive attacks, causing Jiang Chen to not dare to take it head-on. Just now, when he looked towards the east, he was indeed a little absent-minded. That was why Dongfang Lianshua was able to seize the opportunity to unleash a spear that tore apart mountains and rivers. Jiang Chen held onto his sword and counterattacked.
He could only defend passively.
Compared to before, Dongfang Lianshua's strength was much stronger. He wasn't any weaker than Jiang Chen. The terrifying aura stacked on top of each other as the spear struck out like a rainbow.
Jiang Chen did not dare to be negligent.
He calmed his mind and a bitter taste could be seen on the corner of his mouth. He felt that something was going to happen in the east, but he couldn't describe it. The bitterness in his heart was still lingering around him.
Jiang Chen's fighting spirit became even more violent and impatient.
Because he couldn't wait to go to the Hellion clan to see what was going on. Watch carefully, Limitless Sword, 18th Sword. Jiang Chen slashed out with his sword, causing the void to shatter.
A crack appeared in the sky.
Dongfang Lianshua brandished his spear. His figure was like a hook as he streaked across the horizon. Similarly, a myriad spear lights soared through the sky. The intense battle between the two had caused the entire sky to be dyed scarlet red. Countless experts in the surroundings had surged into the sky to find out what was going on. But at this moment, no one dared to show themselves. If they appeared in the battle between divine emperors, they might be implicated. At this moment, the 5 elders of the Hellion clan squinted their eyes as they looked towards the northeast. 2 streaks of light were constantly intertwining with each other. Both of them were unwilling to give in to each other. Each of them recalled what Hellion Rong had said before. Someone had killed Dongfang Liani and even alarmed Dongfang Lianshua. It seemed like this battle was unavoidable. The 2 who killed Dongfang Liani must have been heavily injured by Dongfang Lianshua. They didn't have any chance to participate in this battle. Moreover, if they were to be entangled by the Dongfang clan, their current situation would be extremely dangerous. The people of the Hellion clan could only lament their inadequacy. Remembering the ancestral teachings was just a joke in their eyes. Wang Fengqi stared at the scene without blinking. Although he had only comprehended the 8th sword, Jiang Chen's 18th sword was extremely useful to him. It could even be said that he had benefited a lot from it. The mysterious realm of the sword Dao was something that Wang Fengqi had never comprehended before. Although he had already activated the limitless sword, he still couldn't use it freely because Jiang Chen's strength was too strong. Even before he had learned the limitless sword, his sword technique was already on par with Feng Bai's. Therefore, Jiang Chen's sword technique had improved step by step. Needless to say, Jiang Chen's talent was enough to reach his current level from Saint Origin World step by step. If it wasn't for his strength and monstrous talent, he might have already become an ordinary person. Jiang Chen's sword was incomparably sharp and domineering. Every single movement of his was filled with the aura of being rescued from a desperate situation. Every single move of his was natural, dazzling the eyes of the onlookers. However, the artistic conception behind it was that of a single sweep of the sword that could destroy the entire world. This realm was still too far for the current Wang Fengqi, but it was inevitable for Jiang Chen. Otherwise, how could he suppress his opponent with his sword technique? Jiang Chen would always use the limitless sword to its fullest, seeking for perfection. If he could complete the redemption in a short period of time, he might even be able to reach the next level. Jiang Chen's sword technique was desireless. It had already surpassed the realm of swordsmanship, transcending the shackles and limits. Once the sword was unleashed, tens of thousands of swords would be broken. The heavens and earth would be under his control. The 18th sword was getting closer and closer to this step, but Jiang Chen was still unsatisfied. The limitless sword required the sword to be limitless. Only then could it reach the realm of supremely strong and overbearing. Wang Fengqi admired his master even more. The limitless sword and the 18th sword had already reached such a realm. When would he be able to reach his master's realm? To him, this step was simply too far away. However, The plan now was to kill Dongfang Lianshua as soon as possible. Otherwise, their situation would become more and more difficult. After all, they were in someone else's territory. Wang Fengqi knew that his master's current situation wasn't good. At this moment, Wu Ningzhu and Yan Qingqing attacked together. The strength of the three of them had already forced Dongfang Lianshua to be fearful. Zhang Chen's strength alone was enough to suppress him, let alone the strength of the three of them. Dongfang Lianshua was incomparably anxious, but it was still difficult for him to get out of this predicament. He was powerless against the attacks of the three of them. Zhang Chen was really hateful. Dongfang Lianshua was extremely angry. Every time something happened, he would encounter this bastard. Zhang Chen's every step was filled with killing intent. He didn't care whether this was the territory of the Dongfang family or not. As long as he could kill this guy, he would be able to leave quickly. His only goal was to enter the Helian family to investigate. As long as he could get the news of Helian Yu, Zhang Chen would be able to be at ease. Get lost. Violent flower rain. Dongfang Lianshua's long spear swept across. The spear radiance spread out like a rainstorm of pear blossoms, scattering in all directions. The strong momentum forced Zhang Chen and the others to retreat. Dongfang Lianshua was also in a difficult situation. At this moment, he knew that it was already very difficult for him to fight against the three of them alone. He still had a chance if he fought alone. Moreover, Zhang Chen was still a little distracted at this moment. Even so, it was still difficult for Dongfang Lianshua to kill Zhang Chen. He already knew in his heart that it was absolutely impossible for him to kill them here. However, his family was here. What did he have to worry about? No matter how weak the Dongfang family was, they were still one of the well-known families in the Dongxing Divine region. Killing Zhang Chen was not a problem. Although the hatred of killing his brother was absolutely irreconcilable, Dongfang Lianshua had to prioritize his own life. If he lost his life, he would suffer a double loss. Dongfang Lianshua wasn't a hothead. Knowing that he was no match for Yi Shiwen, he could only choose to retreat at this moment. Want to leave? It's not that easy. Yan Qingqing could tell that this guy wanted to leave with just one glance. The long sword in her hand flew up and she wasn't willing to show weakness. Who said that a woman was inferior to a man? Chapter 34-45. Now, Yan Qingqing's strength had even crushed Wu Ningzhu. Yan Qingqing was beside Zhang Chen, and her morale was like a rainbow. The impact and suppression of Dongfang Lianshua made Dongfang Lianshua complain incessantly. He could only avoid the sharp edge and retreat. The mountains will never change, and the rivers will always flow. Let's wait and see. Zhang Chen, just you wait. Even if I have to go to heaven or hell, I will definitely let you die without a burial ground to avenge my brother. Dongfang Lianshua roared in anger, but he could only retreat with a trace of helplessness and anger at the corner of his mouth. With his strength alone, it was already impossible for him to completely annihilate Zhang Chen. In this battle, he deeply felt that his strength was insufficient. The two women beside Zhang Chen were also not easy to deal with. Although Dongfang Lianshua was not a match for Zhang Chen and the others, if he wanted to leave, it was not a problem at all. In addition, Zhang Chen and the others did not want to chase after him at all. Dongfang Lianshua also turned around and left without any hesitation. Zhang Chen's brows were tightly knitted. Dongfang Lianshua was already not a match for him in a one-on-one fight. Even if they met again, Zhang Chen had the confidence to kill him. However, Zhang Chen's heart was getting more and more panicked. Because he was worried that something would happen to Helian Yu, he could not wait to go to the Helian clan to find out what happened. Don't chase after a cornered enemy. Let's go to the Helian clan first. Zhang Chen said in a deep voice. His face was gloomy as he gave Wang Fengqi 2 healing pellets. Come with us, Fengqi. All right, where's your sister Feng? Why isn't she with you? Zhang Chen's heart moved. He looked at Wang Fengqi, but his face was filled with difficulty. She's already gone. She was ravaged to death by those goddamn beasts in the fossil sect. I risked my life to escape in order to find Master. I want to stay by Master's side and learn well. One day, when I can return to the fossil sect, I will definitely grind all of their bones to dust and make the fossil sect disappear from this world forever. Wang Fengqi said while gritting her teeth. Wu Ningzhu and Yan Qingqing's countenance suddenly changed. They looked at each other. As women, no one knew better than them what kind of feeling it was. Their eyes were also filled with anger. This petrified sect truly deserves death.
Yan Qingqing abhorred evil.
Her charming face was covered with frost. She clenched her jade-like fingers and her aura suddenly became gloomy.
Alas, poor child.
Don't worry, we will definitely avenge you.
Little Chenzi, let's go together. Wu Ningzhu also took a glance at Jiang Chen.
She couldn't bear it in her heart. Whether it was Wang Fengqi or his sister Feng, they were both people with a bitter life.
Petrified sect.
It seems like there's no need for this sect to exist anymore.
Jiang Chen's eyes were cold. Wang Fengqi was his first true disciple.
His wife was ravaged to death by the people of the petrified sect.
To Jiang Chen, this was a great humiliation.
After I'm done with all these, one day, I will definitely go with you to the petrified sect and ask them what happened.
It's time for them to wake up. Jiang Chen clenched his fists tightly. Looking at Wang Fengqi's trembling appearance, he felt sorrow in his heart. He empathized with him.
His own disciple was not someone that anyone could bully.
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master's wives.
Wang Fengqi heavily knelt in front of Jiang Chen. His eyes were full of affection. Now, the only person he could rely on was his master.
Wu Ningzhu didn't mind, but Yan Qingqing still couldn't accept it. Her face was slightly red, but she didn't refute.
We are master and disciple. There's no need to be polite. You just need to cultivate properly in the future.
Jiang Chen said in a deep voice.
Wang Fengqi couldn't hide the joy in his heart. This was the only happy moment in all these years. Because his master had acknowledged him, he had also received his master's attention. From now on, he only had one goal, and that was to annihilate the petrified sect, causing chaos in the petrified sect.
There's no time to lose.
Let's go to the Hellion clan first.
Jiang Chen said in a low voice.
He raised his head with a solemn expression. The four of them quickly headed towards the Hellion clan. Jiang Chen asked along the way and finally found the location of the Hellion clan. This place was only 10,000 miles away from the Hellion clan. It wasn't considered far. When Jiang Chen arrived at the Divine Wind Valley, the Hellion clan's mountain gate guards stood in front of Jiang Chen.
Who are you? Report your name.
What's your purpose in coming to my Hellion clan? The young man in the lead was clad in armor. His expression was cold and stern. He was already in the heavenly god realm. Although he felt the unstoppable aura of Jiang Chen and the others, he still spoke in a neither servile nor overbearing manner.
I'm looking for Hellion Yu. Jiang Chen said faintly. You're looking for Aunt Yu? Who are you?
The young guard asked. You don't need to know who I am. Just go in and report. Jiang Chen's voice almost pressured the young guard to the point that he couldn't breathe. The young guard didn't dare to ask anymore and quickly returned to the clan to report. The dozens of guards looked solemn and depressed. In front of such an expert, they didn't have the slightest chance to fight back. Jiang Chen wasn't in a hurry. After all, he came to the Hellion clan to pay a visit. Naturally, he couldn't reject Hellion Yu's request. Therefore, Jiang Chen could only wait silently. He couldn't throw away the necessary etiquette. Jiang Chen closed his eyes and rested. His expression was cold as he waited for the reply. At the end of the month, someone finally came from the Wind God Valley. It was an early divine king from the Hellion clan. He looked at Jiang Chen and the others calmly and said indifferently, "Let's go. Aunt Yu has already entered the gate of heaven's will to cultivate. She won't come out in a short period of time. Therefore, please come again in the future," the divine king said with an arrogant expression as he glanced at Jiang Chen and the others. Jiang Chen's expression became gloomy. "I've waited for you for so long and you actually sent me away with just a sentence? Who are you trying to fool? If Yu knew that he came, she would definitely rush out immediately. Who would have thought that these guys would look down on him?" Most importantly, he was filled with anger. He didn't even see Yu. Where could Jiang Chen go? "I must see Yu today," Jiang Chen said coldly. A chilling aura filled the air, causing everyone to shiver. The Divine King Realm expert was almost forced to kneel down due to Jiang Chen's aura. "I'm really sorry. Senior, our Aunt Yu has indeed entered the gate of heaven's will to cultivate. She won't come out in a short period of time. Please come again another day." "Nonsense. Yu asked me to come and have a chat. But you said that she has already entered the gate of heaven's will to cultivate?
I don't care where it is. I must see you today.
If you dare to ignore me, don't blame me for being merciless. I've already endured it.
Chapter 34-46. This is the Hellion clan.
Don't you dare to be presumptuous. Although Senior is powerful and we are not his match, if the experts of the Hellion clan come out, Senior won't be able to escape even if he wants to. The Divine King Realm expert sneered.
Don't overestimate yourself. You asked for it. Jiang Chen said coldly.
He took a step forward and dozens of guards were blown away by Jiang Chen's aura. Even the Divine King Realm expert was not an exception. Jiang Chen's domineering aura soared towards the mountain gate of the Hellion clan. Stop him! The Divine King Realm expert of the Hellion clan roared. The Heavenly God Realm experts could not help but curse in their hearts. Motherfucker, he's a Divine Emperor expert. He's an expert who is as famous as the 5 great elders.
You want us to stop him? If we can stop him, why are we guarding the gate here? As expected, no one could stop Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen's figure was like a mountain.
He stood with his hands behind his back and rushed towards the Wind God Valley. His divine aura was unstoppable. Divine Kings and Hierarch Realm experts were all blown away by him and were heavily injured. However, he did not kill them because this was Hellion Yu-Er's clan. However, if someone wanted to stop him from seeing Yu-Er, he could only attack without mercy. Jiang Chen's aura was unstoppable. He was unstoppable in the Hellion clan. No one could compete with him. Under the Heaven Prayer Palace, Jiang Chen stood proudly. He condensed the void and flew towards the Heaven Prayer Palace. Who dares to act violently in my Hellion clan? Are you courting death? The 5th elder, Hellion Chongqing, flew up to the void and stood in front of Jiang Chen with a gloomy expression. At the same time, the 4th elder blocked Jiang Chen's path. What a reckless fellow. You actually dared to trespass into the Hellion family. I think you must be tired of living. The 4th elder said with a face full of disdain. At this moment, thousands of Hellion family members had already suffered heavy injuries. At this moment, they finally made their move. Otherwise, if they allowed Jiang Chen to continue running amok, he might very well destroy the entire Hellion family.
Finally, there are 2 people who can speak. I want to find you, but your people want to send me away. Is this how your Hellion family treats their guests?
Humph, I really don't dare to compliment you. Jiang Chen crossed his arms and coldly stared at the 2 elders of the Hellion family. How dare you? No matter who you are, Yu-Er is not someone you can casually see.
Who do you think you are? You came to my Hellion family and behaved atrociously.
I don't care what your intentions are.
Today, all of you will die here.
The 4th elder furiously said. He had never seen someone so savage before. He had actually fought his way to the front of the Hellion family's mountain gate. Moreover, he seemed to be extremely disrespectful towards the Hellion family. As the elders of the Hellion family, they were naturally duty-bound. Now, he had even attacked the members of the Hellion family. Many of them had been severely injured by this executioner. This fellow is definitely not someone to be trifled with. Elders, you must definitely teach him a lesson and punish him severely.
That's right, Elder.
We've all suffered greatly. This fellow attacked us without distinguishing between right and wrong. We're really suffering unspeakably. If this kind of scum is allowed to get away scot-free in our Hellion family, where will our Hellion family's face be? I must kill him as soon as I can.
Elders, you must uphold justice for us.
Countless people of the Hellion family hated Jiang Chen to the bone. However, they didn't know that Jiang Chen had already shown mercy. Before he even attacked, these people were already injured by his aura. If he casually waved his hand, they would have already turned into ashes. At this moment, Jiang Chen had undoubtedly become the target of public criticism. Many people of the Hellion family wanted to suppress him. 4th elder, 5th elder, let me see how strong this fellow is. He actually dared to trespass into my Hellion family. He must be tired of living. At this moment, Hellion Zhongyang had already appeared in the sky with a long spear in his hand. As one of the strongest geniuses of the Hellion family, he had his own pride. Since this fellow came to look for Yu-Er, he must first pass through him. If he couldn't even pass through him,
What qualifications did he have to look for you,
Moreover, this fellow was really arrogant. Did he really think that the Hellion family was his backyard?
That's fine.
Then go and teach him a lesson. Zhongyang, remember, leave him alive.
The fourth elder said in a deep voice.
At this moment, Hellion Zhongyang turned around and pointed his long spear at Jiang Chen without the slightest bit of mercy. Since the fourth elder had already spoken, then he must definitely leave a mark on him in this battle.
Jiang Chen couldn't help but sneer. This ignorant fourth elder actually said that he would leave him alive? What a reckless fellow. If Jiang Chen dared to go alone, it meant that he had nothing to fear. Now, a mere member of the younger generation of the Hellion family, he didn't even put him in his eyes. Brat, die. Kneel down and kowtow to Grandpa a few times. Maybe I can be a little more lenient.
Ha!
Hellion Zhongyang, just like his name, was filled with the meaning of arrogance.
Noisy.
If you want to fight, let's fight.
I'm already showing you great mercy by not killing you.
Jiang Chen said disdainfully. His arrogant attitude made Hellion Zhongyang even more furious. This long spear in my hand has killed countless enemies. Even if it's not 1,000, it's at least 800.
Let's see if you can escape from the palm of my hand.
Hellion Zhong rushed up to the clouds. Spear shadows flew everywhere, shaking the heavens and earth. In a single strike, his qi dominated the universe, light and shadow filled the air, attacking the entire Wind God Valley of the Hellion clan, causing all the people of the Hellion clan to retreat continuously. They were completely suppressed by this incomparable qi. No one could block it.
Among the people present, only the fourth elder and the fifth elder could remain calm.
Even Yan Qingqing and Wu Ningzhu took a few steps back. Jiang Chen's countenance was calm. Just when everyone thought that Jiang Chen was going to be killed, Jiang Chen slowly raised his hand. Although it seemed simple and slow, it was filled with unparalleled power. Jiang Chen leisurely strolled in the courtyard, grabbing onto the long spear in Hellion Zhongyang's hand. With a flip of his hand, he directly twisted the long spear in Hellion Zhongyang's hand. In the blink of an eye, a palm imprint was blasted out, causing the mountains and rivers to shatter and the valleys to tremble. The true dragon palm was like a gigantic palm, descending from the heavens. It easily crushed Hellion Zhongyang, causing him to retreat. The terrifying aura it exuded was so strong that no one dared to look at it directly. Hellion Zhongyang didn't dare to face such a tyrannical attack head-on. In the end, he was forced to retreat by the palm imprint. His countenance was deathly pale, and his injuries were severe. Chapter 34-47. Isn't he too strong?
Someone couldn't help but murmur.
Suddenly, everyone in the Hellion family became silent.
They no longer clamored and fell into a daze.
The genius disciple of the Hellion family couldn't even withstand a single blow from his opponent? Isn't this too shocking? The fourth elder and Elder Wu looked at each other in disbelief. However, the scene in front of them was incomparably real. Who would have thought that Jiang Chen would be so powerful? Puff! Hellion Zhongyang retreated.
The long spear in his hand was already damaged.
At this moment, he had completely lost his peerless elegance. He was like a drowning dog. Even the people of the Hellion family couldn't be bothered to look at him. Both of their strengths were on par, but Hellion Zhongyang couldn't withstand a single blow from Jiang Chen. Isn't this too exaggerated? It didn't make sense. The fourth elder and Elder Wu's faces turned gloomy. Hellion Fengchao was also at the side at this time, but he didn't make a move. Even if he made a move, the result would probably be the same as Hellion Zhongyang, beaten to a pulp. One move, just one move. Who was this guy? What's his background?
With such strength, no wonder he dared to challenge the Hellion family.
Kid, if I don't teach you a lesson today, I think you won't know your place. The glory of the Hellion family can't be violated. Go to hell. The fourth elder attacked in an instant, showing no mercy. The fifth elder looked on coldly from the side, silently watching.
Both of them had already reached the mid-divine emperor realm. Although they were only in the minor connecting heavens realm, they were much stronger than Jiang Chen. If he was defeated, then even if the fifth elder took action, he would only become a laughingstock and make the Hellion family look even worse. It was enough for the fourth elder to make a move. Their goal was very simple.
As long as this brat who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth bowed his head before the Hellion clan and admitted his mistake, it would be enough.
They wanted him to kneel in the Hellion clan and never get up again. That way, it would be able to reflect the Hellion clan's strength and overbearing. As soon as the fourth elder made his move, the Hellion family immediately became excited. They knew that this guy was finally going to be defeated. The previous scene made them feel disappointed in Hellion Zhongyang. However, with the fourth elder making his move, it would be easy for him to win. Fourth elder, kill him. Fourth elder is mighty and domineering. In response to the fourth elder's powerful attack, Jiang Chen's expression was as calm as ever. Facing the fourth elder's fist, Jiang Chen bluntly responded with a punch of his own. There was nothing fancy about it, just the power of his fleshly body. His bloodline expanded, giving him boundless strength. 9 dragons, 10 mammoths, intimidating mountains and rivers. The scene that everyone was looking forward to did not appear. They thought that Jiang Chen would be severely injured or even killed by the fourth elder. However, the one who took a step back was also the fourth elder. There was no suspense at all. When Jiang Chen's punch was flickering with cold light, Elder Wu and Hellion Chongqing had already felt that something was wrong. However, when the two collided with each other, there was finally a complete explosion. It was like the impact of a comet. The fourth elder was completely pushed back by the might of the collision. There was a sweet taste in his throat as blood gushed up. However, the fourth elder still swallowed it down. This attack had caused him to suffer different degrees of injuries. However, he absolutely couldn't show it. Otherwise, this battle was related to the glory of the entire Hellion clan. No one could take it lightly. No one could stay out of it. Fourth brother. The fifth elder said in a low voice and patted the fourth elder's shoulder. At that moment, there was finally a trace of resonance between the two brothers. Jiang Chen stood with his hands behind his back. In the entire Hellion family, above the Wind God Valley, there was absolute silence. No one said a word. Jiang Chen had defeated the two heroes with one hand. Now, they had already suffered a great deal. For a moment, they were in a deadlock. Who else? If there is no one else, let Yu'er come out and see me. Jiang Chen said indifferently. At that moment, no one dared to disobey him. At that moment, Wang Fengqi finally felt how terrifying his master was. Previously, he was worried that his master might not be the opponent of the Hellion family's elder. After all, the Hellion family's elder was stronger than his master. However, after that punch, he knew that his worries were completely unnecessary. His master had already reached an extremely terrifying level. The might of that punch was enough to shake people's hearts. Even the Hellion family's elder could only avoid it. His divine might was unparalleled. Who would dare to be his enemy? Enough! A low voice sounded. The great elder arrived late. His expression was cold. Behind him, the other elders also appeared in front of Jiang Chen. At this moment, the 5 great elders gathered here. Jiang Chen's eyes slightly narrowed. The corner of his mouth hooked up into a faint smile. I am the great elder of the Hellion family. May I know what this little brother is here for? Why did you trespass into my Hellion family? The great elder said. Jiang Chen shook his head and said with a smile. I came here to find Yu'er. Where is Yu'er? I only wanted to see her. I have no evil intentions. I have waited for a long time for your Hellion family to notify me. However, what I got was an insincere rejection and a tit-for-tat stare. Therefore, I could only resort to this method. However, I did not kill you. You are all Yu'er's clansmen. I, Jiang Chen, did not come here to provoke you. I am satisfied as long as I see Yu'er. Jiang Chen said sincerely. However, these words were filled with helplessness in the ears of the great elder. It's not that the Hellion family wants to hide Yu'er. She has already entered the gate of heaven's will of the Hellion family. I think the person Yu'er was waiting for was you, right? It's a pity that you are one step too late. Jiang Chen's pupils shrank. He stared at the great elder and said impatiently, What do you mean by this? What do you mean I am late? Could it be that Yu'er is already? It's not what you think. Yu'er is not dead. However, the gate of heavens will has its advantages and disadvantages. Those who enter the gate of heavens will lose all their memories when they walk out. Therefore, when Yu'er walks out of the gate of heavens will again, she is no longer the Yu'er of the past. She has waited for you for a very long time, but you still brushed past her in the end. The great elder's words made Jiang Chen's face turn extremely pale. Impossible, This is impossible. You must have forced Xueqi to enter the gate of heaven's will.
Otherwise, why would she enter that damn place? What did you do to Xueqi? Or is it that she is no longer here and you are lying to me? Chapter 34-48. At this moment, Jiang Chen's heart was trembling. Wu Ningzhu held Jiang Chen's hand tightly. As the person closest to Jiang Chen, she could naturally sense the change in Jiang Chen's mentality.
Xueqi was no longer Xueqi.
To Jiang Chen, this was simply a bolt from the blue. Xueqi held an extremely important place in Jiang Chen's heart. Even he didn't know that he cared about Xueqi so much. The relationship between the two of them was like family and friendship. When Jiang Chen heard that Xueqi had entered the gate of heaven's will, he nearly exploded with rage. The gate of heaven's will? What kind of existence is it? The gate of heaven's will is the training ground of my Hellion family. Since ancient times, only a few people have the right to enter. Therefore to Xueqi, this is a supreme honor and a great fortune. You don't know what this means to my Hellion family, and what it means to Xueqi. Xueqi may forget some things, but she will obtain even more. The great elder said in a deep voice, opposing Jiang Chen. Are you sure that you didn't force her to enter the gate of heaven's will? I don't believe that she would willingly forget herself and become someone else, a puppet for your family's rise. How could Jiang Chen not know the Hellion family's intentions? Obviously, Xueqi had already become a tool for their rise. Only one person in 10 million years had the right to enter, which meant that the gate of heaven's will was definitely not a good place.
Her father had also entered the gate of heaven's will, but there was no news of him.
Therefore, this is her destiny, her wish and choice. No one can stop it. It's just that she waited for you for so long, but you didn't appear. In the end, she didn't even get to see you for the last time. Perhaps you should blame yourself for this.
The great elder's words hit the nail on the head. Although Jiang Chen knew that this wasn't their fault, he and Xueqi hadn't been able to reunite at the last moment. All of this had become the most tragic farewell between the two of them.
Was everything really going to end like this? Would Xueqi really forget everything that had happened after she came out from the gate of heaven's will? Jiang Chen didn't want to believe it, and he didn't want to guess. No one knew. However, Jiang Chen's heart was still filled with self-blame, because he was a step too slow, and was unable to see Xueqi one last time. However, he was unwilling to accept the ending. What exactly was the gate of heaven's will like? Why did it turn people into such a state? Jiang Chen didn't know, but the guilt in his heart kept tearing at his heart. He was filled with pain and despair. I'm sorry. Big brother wasn't able to see you one last time, Jiang Chen murmured. He didn't know if Xueqi would turn into the person she liked, or maybe she would turn into someone else. In short, she would no longer have any connection with the previous her. This bullshit gate of heavens will made Jiang Chen burn with anger. However, this was the training ground of the Hellion family. It must be a forbidden place. After entering, one would forget themselves and turn into another person. This was simply a nightmare, a path of self-destruction. However, for her father, for her family, Xueqi still resolutely went forward. When did she ever live for herself? She had a bitter life since she was young, and had experienced many difficulties and obstacles. After growing up, she still had to live the way others wanted to see her. Jiang Chen felt heartbroken for Xueqi. Wu Ningzhu felt the same. The sorrowful aura emitted from Jiang Chen infected her, Yan Qingqing, and Wang Fengqi. After a long time, Jiang Chen sighed.
His expression was incomparably lonely as he looked at the great elder again.
Then when will she come out? Jiang Chen couldn't help but ask.
I don't know,
the great elder said bluntly. After entering the gate of heaven's will, it might be 1 day, or 10,000 years. No one knew what kind of existence the gate of heaven's will was, and no one knew what would happen after entering the gate of heaven's will.
I don't know, what a good I don't know.
Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. At this moment, he was speechless. Then today, I will step into the gate of heaven's will. I want to see who dares to stop me. Jiang Chen swept away the haze from before. He shouted angrily and soared into the sky with unstoppable momentum. Stop him. The gate of heaven's will is our Hellion family's forbidden place. We must not let outsiders enter. Otherwise, how can our Hellion family face the world? The great elder said with a deep voice. Everyone rushed forward, and the 5 great elders stood in front of Jiang Chen, blocking his path.
No one can stop me,
Jiang Chen shouted in a deep voice.
He held the heavenly dragon sword in his hand.
Sword shadows shot out in all directions.
The people of the Hellion family never thought that Jiang Chen would be so terrifying. His overbearing aura filled the air.
Jiang Chen was like a mad bull. No one could stop him.
The 5 mid-divine Emperor realm experts did not dare to face him head-on.
It showed how terrifying Jiang Chen was. Jiang Chen's sword shadows fluttered and streaked across the sky.
He only had one goal, to enter the gate of heaven's will and find the forbidden place of the Hellion family. He must enter this bullshit gate of heaven's will and find out what's going on.
This was simply a training ground to trick people.
Turning oneself into another person and living as another person was definitely not Yu's original intention.
Jiang Chen was unstoppable.
No one was able to withstand a single strike from him. Even with the combined attacks of the 5 great elders, it was still difficult for them to fight against him. At this moment, Jiang Chen was more than 10 times stronger than before, because he had gone completely berserk. His rage was so great that it soared up to the heavens and swept away everything in its path.
Quick! We must not let him continue to get away with it. Quickly suppress him.
The great elder roared furiously, shaking the entire Wind God Valley. The heavenly prayer palace seemed to be on the verge of collapse at this moment. If Jiang Chen really entered the gate of heaven's will, it would be a great humiliation to the Hellion family. Moreover, he was an outsider. If he stole the treasure of the Hellion family, how would he, the great elder, explain to the entire Hellion family?
Don't be presumptuous.
How can you behave atrociously in the land of the Hellion family?
An incomparably deep voice spread across the sky. Everyone's face revealed an unconcealable joy. The patriarch was the leader of the Hellion family.
Now that he had appeared, the Hellion family was finally saved.
This incomparably violent fellow must be punished.
The voice was filled with anger and overbearingness.
Above the sky, a shadow descended from the sky and lingered above the head of Jiang Chen.
Jiang Chen's voice was gloomy as he shouted coldly.
Chapter 3449.
The sky changed color, the wind and lightning flickered, the clouds and mist lingered, and above the entire Wind God Valley, there was a surging wind and surging clouds.
Patriarch! The patriarch is back. He's finally out of seclusion.
Ha ha! Our Hellion clan finally doesn't have to be submissive anymore.
It seems that the patriarch has broken through this time.
It seems that our Hellion clan is destined to not be underestimated. A brat who came out of nowhere wants to step on our heads.
Dream on. You're finally out, patriarch.
The great elder also had a gratified expression on his face. The heavy burden on his shoulders could finally be removed at this moment. Otherwise, he really didn't know how to end this matter. This arrogant kid insisted on seeing Hellion Yu'er. No matter how they tried to stop him, they couldn't stop him.
This gave them a huge headache.
A figure descended from the sky like a huge mountain. An incomparably gloomy aura blocked in front of Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and threw out a heavy punch. With a single punch, the mountains and rivers changed color. The figure in front of him also casually threw out a palm, which collided with Jiang Chen's attack. At that moment, the two attacks cancelled each other out. A trace of astonishment flashed in the eyes of the white-clothed man, and he finally calmed down. The middle-aged man was a little skinny and gave off a rare scholarly aura. His expression was cold and the space between his brows flashed with coldness. However, when he looked at Jiang Chen, he couldn't help but furrow his brows tightly. It was hard for him to relax his brows, because he felt that this young man was unusual, very unusual.
Jiang Chen also looked at the white-clothed man. This person should be their patriarch.
He was very strong, but his body seemed to be shrouded in a layer of fog, making him unable to see through his strength. Patriarch, the fifth elder looked at the white-clothed man and wanted to say something, but the white-clothed man waved his hand and said, "I already know everything. I said that no one can stop me from entering the gate of heaven's will. Yu'er was tricked by you guys into entering the gate of heaven's will. I can't let her be trapped alone."
Jiang Chen said Lung Lung.
The head of the Hellion family, Hellion Feng Su, greets you.
If you don't mind, please listen to me.
Hellion Feng Su said calmly.
Feel free to speak your mind.
Although Jiang Chen was infuriated, he hadn't lost his mind yet. Now that the patriarch of the Hellion family had appeared, he wanted to know what he meant. If he had a reason,
Jiang Chen might as well listen to it. Jiang Chen didn't mind listening to it. Little friend's strength is valiant. In fact, even the elders of my Hellion clan are inferior to you.
However, if little friend is willing to listen to what I have to say, perhaps you won't say any more.
Hellion Feng Su said in a heartfelt tone. The Gate of Heavens will is a training ground that has been passed down since ancient times. It is a treasured land that only the Hellion family can enter. However, since the ancient times, tens of thousands of years, only a few people have been able to enter. Furthermore, the requirements for entering the Gate of Heavens are extremely strict. Those who are able to enter are all extremely talented experts. However, those who enter the Gate of Heavens will have their memories erased by the rules of the Gate of Heavens will. In the end, the memories of the ancient experts of the Hellion family will be inherited. Not just anyone can enter the Gate of Heavens will. Furthermore, only the members of the Hellion family can enter the Gate of Heavens will. No one else can. It is an existence left behind by an Emperor Realm expert. It also contains the strongest talent of the Hellion family, the secret book of Heaven's will. It can open the cycle of life and death. With the Eye of Heaven's will, it can predict the life and death of all living things in the world. It is the strongest secret book of the Hellion family. It is also the foundation of the Hellion family. In other words, the secret book of Heavens can see the past and the future. It is the most important item of the Hellion family. However, it only belongs to the Hellion family. Aside from those chosen by the Gate of Heaven's will, even we can't enter it. From this it can be seen how simple it is. Becoming a peerless expert, becoming an existence revered by tens of thousands of people, becoming someone whose name will be recorded in the annals of history. This is Yu-Er's glory and also her destiny. Everyone has their own cycle of reincarnation. As a member of the Hellion family, Yu-Er is duty-bound. Furthermore, this is an indelible part of her life. Regardless of whether you admit it or not, this is the will of the heavens. I have used the great divination art to predict Yu-Er's 9 cycles of reincarnation without any deviation. She will be the person that will bring the rise of the Hellion family. Hellion Feng Su's expression was grave. His face was filled with glory and confidence. To Jiang Chen, his words might not be enough to change his original intention. However, Yu-Er was the only hope of the Hellion family. I know that you might not listen to what I have to say, but I can confidently tell you that the Hellion family's choice might not be the best, but it is definitely the most correct. The great divination art can predict the future and predict the heavens and earth. It's not something that you can guess. Hellion Feng Su's words triggered Jiang Chen's inner thoughts once again. The great divination art? I know it too, Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. Hellion Feng Su's expression changed drastically as he looked at Jiang Chen in disbelief. Even the 5 elders didn't hide the shock in their hearts as they stared at him with wide eyes. That's impossible. The great divination art is a secret technique of the Hellion family. Even Yu-Er has never learned it before. Even when her grandfather was in danger, he never revealed the great divination art to Yu-Er. Even the 5 elders have a copy of it. The great divination art is incomplete. Apart from the current Hellion family head, no one else has the great divination art. The great elder's expression was terrifyingly gloomy. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Jiang Chen. No one was an exception. Perhaps you should give me an explanation, Hellion Feng Su said. Although I'm not a member of the Hellion family, I do know the great divination art. I didn't learn it in the immortal world, but in the 9 prefectures immortal world. My master in the immortal world taught me the great divination art. Jiang Chen said honestly. There was nothing to hide. His great divination art wasn't a secret in front of the Hellion family. You're actually someone who ascended from the immortal world. Since you know Yu-Er, I won't pursue the matter of the great divination art. However, I hope that you will mislead others and leak the secrets of the Hellion family. Hellion Feng Su's decision made the members of the Hellion family look at each other in dismay. They didn't know what to do, but since the family head had already said so, there was nothing they could do. Chapter 3450. Jiang Chen came from the immortal world of the 9 prefectures. His strength and perseverance were not to be underestimated. Today, he barged into the Hellion family for Yu-Er. This was enough to prove his determination. No matter what, little friend, you can't enter the Gate of Heaven's will. You can't enter either,
because the restrictions of the gate of heavens will are not something you and I can change. As for you, she will have a beautiful future ahead of her. Those who have seen the ocean cannot be considered water, and those who have not seen Mount Wu are not clouds. Some things should be left in the past. To you, it might be a little cruel, but to you, it is another kind of rebirth. Don't you want her to have a good life? Helian Feng Su's words did move Jiang Chen, but he couldn't give himself a way out. Yuer's choice to enter the gate of heaven's will. Was it really her own choice? Jiang Chen didn't believe it, but now that he had entered the gate of heaven's will, Jiang Chen knew that whatever he did would be useless. I'm a little doubtful. Is it true that only the people of the Helian family can enter the gate of heaven's will? I want to give it a try. I don't know if the Helian family will give me the chance. Jiang Chen looked at Helian Feng Su with a burning gaze. Husband, Wu Ningzhu pulled Jiang Chen's hand. Putting aside the fact that the gate of heaven's will was filled with dangers, she was afraid that Jiang Chen would forget about her and everyone else after entering the gate, and become a completely different person. If that was the case, then the gate of heaven's will would be like a machine that could make people forget their past. I know what I'm doing. Jiang Chen held Wu Ningzhu tightly. Yan Qingqing's mood was complicated. She didn't know what kind of choice she had made in the past. She had forgotten Jiang Chen and a lot of things. It wasn't a good experience. If you have a choice, you shouldn't enter, Yan Qingqing said in a low voice. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. He also wanted the second choice, but for Yuer, he had no other choice. No. Helian Feng Su directly rejected Jiang Chen and shook his head. Regardless of whether Jiang Chen was able to enter the gate of heaven's will or not, he would not set a precedent for Jiang Chen. Furthermore, as the ancestral teachings stated, other than members of the Helian clan, no one was allowed to approach the gate of heaven's will. He could not go against the ancestral teachings. I can't let the teachings of my ancestors be useless. I can't let Yuer's life be taken lightly. Jiang Chen and Helian Feng Su stared at each other. At this moment, Jiang Chen knew that their discussion was about to collapse. After saying so much, he understood Helian Feng Su's difficulties, but he still decided to enter the gate of heaven's will to see what was going on. What if I don't? Could it be that you really want to barge into my Helian family's ancestral land? Helian Feng Su said indifferently. As you wish. Jiang Chen slowly took out the heavenly dragon sword. The corner of his mouth was cold, causing Wu Ningzhu to become nervous. At this moment, the arrow had to be fired. Jiang Chen had no way out. You can try, Helian Feng Su said in a deep voice. He was prepared to fight at any time. However, at this moment, in front of the gate of heaven's will, the Heaven's Will mountain range began to collapse. Waves of smoke and dust rose, and the sound of a tsunami could be heard. It was as if the entire earth was shaking. The mountain range began to collapse, and the gate of heaven's will also began to collapse. The entire Helian clan was in an uproar. How could this be? How could the gate of heaven's will collapse? Yes, is our Helian clan going to suffer a great disaster? This has never happened in thousands of years. This person is definitely a jinx. If it wasn't for him, our Helian clan wouldn't be in such a state. The collapse of the gate of heaven's will is heaven's punishment for our Helian clan. Maybe it's the wrath of our ancestors. We can't let this guy enter the Heaven's Will mountain range. Absolutely not. Every member of the Helian clan roared madly, keeping Jiang Chen at a distance. They always thought that Jiang Chen was the person who brought misfortune to them. As they believed in heaven's will and divine armaments, they were confident in this world. In their hearts, everything was decided by heaven. Is the gate of heaven's will really collapse? Helian Feng Su did not have time to think. He turned into a ray of light and dashed towards the gate of heaven's will. Jiang Chen did not show any weakness. Other than Helian Feng Su, no one could stop him. Two rays of light dashed towards the gate of heaven's will. The scene before them was a complete mess. The gate of heaven's will had completely collapsed. Rubble piled up in the middle of the mountain range. The mountain path had already disappeared, but the tremors were still ongoing. The gate of heaven's will was a huge stone gate that was protected by rubble, and the surroundings were filled with rubble. The originally majestic Heaven's Will mountain range and the gate of heaven's will had now become ruins. However, one could still vaguely see the shape and outline of the gate of heaven's will. Why would there be such a huge commotion in the Heaven's Will mountain? Helian Feng Su's eyes were sharp. He had a solemn look on his face. He closed his eyes and calmed his mind. He began to use the great divination art to peer into the mysteries of the sky. However, in an instant, Helian Feng Su spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression changed and his eyes were filled with shock.
How could this be?
I can't see any signs of you.
How could this be?
Helian Feng Su had a bad premonition. At this time, if something were to happen to you, the Helian family would not only have to face Jiang Chen, but also the Dongfang family and the Shiman family. Most importantly, they would lose the hope of the Helian family to rise again. This was a sword that could kill without spilling blood.
You, what do you think happened to you,
Jiang Chen shouted in a deep voice, interrogating Helian Feng Su. Helian Feng Su shook his head and sighed. Even with my great divination art, I can't predict any news about you, Now that the gate of heavens has collapsed, I'm worried that something will happen to you, If anything happens to you, I will definitely make your Helian family restless. Jiang Chen's eyes were like torches as he stared at Helian Feng Su. Helian Feng Su sighed in his heart. He knew that Jiang Chen had the ability to say these words. This guy was definitely not easy to deal with. Helpless, Jiang Chen walked into the gate of heaven's will. He still hadn't given up hope. He still wanted to go in and find out what was going on. At this moment, Helian Feng Su saw 2 lines of words carved on the stone pillar of the gate of heaven's will. Those 2 lines of words were Yu Er's handwriting. After a year, it should be a beautiful time and beautiful scenery. Even if there are thousands of different kinds of amorous feelings, who can I talk to? Chapter 3451. After so many years, the beautiful scenery had become useless. All these years, without Jiang Chen, the days were incomparably dull. Thousands of amorous feelings, no one to talk to, who could understand the sorrow and joy in her heart? This sentence made Jiang Chen feel incomparably conflicted and pained. He came a step too late. The sorrow in his heart was indescribable. If he was here, he would definitely not let you enter the gate of heaven's will. Between the lines, Jiang Chen could feel the sorrow and unwillingness in Yu Er's heart. She did not get to see him one last time, so she had to do something to forget him. The gate of heaven's will was like the gate of reincarnation. One could forget everything after walking out of it, becoming a completely different person. It was not a rebirth, but a walking corpse. No matter what, he had to enter the gate of heaven's will, to find out the truth.
For Yu to seek justice.
Countless people of the Helian clan looked at the collapsing gate of heaven's will, filled with despair and dejection, making their hearts bleed, and everyone felt insecure. Jiang Chen took a step forward, heading straight for the gate of heaven's will. Helian Feng Su stood in front of him without hesitation. If you want to enter the gate of heaven's will, you have to pass through me first. Helian Feng Su said in a deep voice. His whole body was like a sword, pointing straight at Jiang Chen.
Then let's see if you have the ability.
Jiang Chen sneered and struck out a palm, clashing with Helian Feng Su. That strike made Helian Feng Su not dare to underestimate Jiang Chen at all. He had witnessed Jiang Chen's strength. Although he was only an early divine emperor, his means made countless mid-divine emperors flinch. Great Void Technique. Jiang Chen executed the Great Void Technique, directly passing through Helian Feng Su. When Helian Feng Su turned around, Jiang Chen had already entered the gate of heaven's will. At that moment, everyone of the Helian clan was stunned. Can he really enter the gate of heaven's will? Helian Feng Su murmured. Previously, he didn't want his clan's prestige to be tarnished. However, at this moment, Jiang Chen acted as if he didn't exist and barged into the Helian clan's ancestral land, the gate of heaven's will. Could all of this really be the will of the heavens? The great elder sucked in a breath of cold air. No one dared to utter another word. Jiang Chen had indeed entered the gate of heaven's will.
Wu Ningzhu and Yan Qingqing were also in a daze.
Jiang Chen, would he come back? When he returned, would he still be the Jiang Chen of the past? Heaven's will was hard to defy. He said he knows what he's doing.
I don't think he's lying to me.
Wu Ningzhu said in a low voice. I'd rather believe that there are ghosts in the world than believe a man's stupid mouth.
Most of his words are lies, Yan Qingqing sneered.
However, at the next moment, Wu Ningzhu's eyes flickered with worry. Yan Qingqing then realized that she seemed to have said the wrong thing. The gate of heaven's will was already close at hand. However, apart from Jiang Chen, No one could enter it. To the entire Hellion clan, this was like an unknown disaster, because they believed in destiny, the heavens, and the will of the heavens. Everything was destined by the heavens, karma, and reincarnation. The collapse of the Gate of Heaven's will was directly blamed on Jiang Chen. They believed that it was his curse. If it wasn't for him, the Gate of Heaven's will wouldn't have collapsed, and the Hellion clan wouldn't be in such a predicament. Even Hellion Yu's life and death were unknown. Whether the Gate of Heaven's will had completely collapsed was still unknown. I don't know if there will be any influence in the Gate of Heaven's will. I hope nothing will happen to you, Hellion Feng Su said in a low voice. Clan head, that fella entering the Gate of Heaven's will won't affect our Hellion clan, right? The Great Elder asked in a low voice. Hellion Feng Su shook his head. I don't know either. However, what's done cannot be undone. The Gate of Heaven's will has become like this. We can only take it one step at a time. It's also a kind of fortune for him to be able to enter the Gate of Heaven's will. We won't be able to stop him. If it's an ordinary person, they might not be able to enter the Gate of Heaven's will no matter how powerful they are. However, he's so unscrupulous. He has nothing to fear. As for what he can obtain in the Gate of Heaven's will, it's all up to the heavens. You might really have an indescribable fate with him. I can't see Yu's future. Similarly, I can't see his future either. This fella is far more terrifying than we imagined. In this world, only the person in love can't be seen through by the great divination art. The first elder's face turned pale as he exclaimed. A person who can't be controlled by fate? It was said that in the Gate of Heaven's will, several Emperor Realm experts of the Hellion clan had passed away. It was during that period of endless strife and war that the Hellion clan almost propped up the sky, and contributed immeasurable strength to the ancient war. The great divination art and secret manual of Heaven's will were things that went against the heavens. Although everything was decided by the heavens, the secret manual of Heaven's will could judge all living beings and reveal the secrets of heaven to everyone. At that moment, they were truly invincible. What would it be like if you could already guess the outcome of the battle before the other party even made a move? Strategizing and deciding the outcome from 1,000 miles away, it was nothing more than this. The Gate of Heaven's will contain the wisdom of countless sages. It was an ancient place left behind by several Emperor Realm experts. It was the true treasure of the Hellion clan. Jiang Chen didn't know why he could enter the Gate of Heaven's will so easily. Could it be that he was the one chosen by the heavens? Jiang Chen didn't know. At the very least, it was enough for him to enter the Gate of Heaven's will and search for Yu. Jiang Chen possessed the great divination art, which was probably his greatest guarantee in entering the Gate of Heaven's will. However, Jiang Chen felt an incomparably oppressive aura the moment he entered the Gate of Heaven's will. It was the aura of an Emperor Realm expert. What a terrifying pressure on the soul. Jiang Chen's heart trembled. Even the soul force of an Emperor Realm expert was greatly suppressed. One could see how terrifying the Gate of Heaven's will was. When Jiang Chen entered, he saw countless colorful meteorites and stalagmites. It was like a brightly lit cave, dazzling with a myriad of colors. Chapter 3452. The deeper Jiang Chen went into the cave, the more he felt the pressure in his heart. The pressure had already surpassed the existence of an Emperor Realm soul. Therefore, even Jiang Chen had no choice but to be cautious. The reason why Jiang Chen wasn't afraid of having his memories erased after entering the Gate of Heaven's will was because his spirit force had already reached the Emperor Realm. It was practically impossible to erase an Emperor Realm soul, which was why he was so fearless. Jiang Chen's spiritual power kept spreading out, but he found that his spiritual power couldn't spread out at all. It could only cover a radius of less than 100 meters. The karst cave in the Gate of Heaven's will was too strange. This place really makes one's heart turn cold. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes as he walked forward, not daring to be the slightest bit careless. Although he hadn't encountered any danger for the time being, it didn't mean that this place was safe. The tremors from before also came from underground. Jiang Chen entered the Gate of Heaven's will, but he didn't discover any cracks. It seemed that the Gate of Heaven's will wasn't affected at all. Gradually, Jiang Chen walked for a full 3 days before he entered an underground river. The river seemed to be a few hundred meters wide, and the ice-cold river water flowed endlessly. Clouds and mist curled around it, giving off the feeling of a fishing boat singing in the evening. But on the river, Jiang Chen saw a boat. The boat was extremely simple. and was only 4 to 5 meters long. It swayed in the ice-cold river water, moving forward along with the waves. However, its speed was extremely slow. On the bow of the boat sat an incomparably beautiful girl. Jiang Chen recognized the girl's silhouette with a single glance. Wasn't that you, whom he hadn't seen for many years? It's really you, Jiang Chen's pupils shrank as he shouted in a deep voice. You, Jiang Chen's voice was extremely loud, so loud that even he furrowed his brows. However, you, who was 100 meters away, couldn't hear him at all. There wasn't even the slightest movement. Jiang Chen shouted for a long time, but you, still couldn't hear him. In desperation, Jiang Chen came up with a plan. He tried to summon Yu with his spiritual energy. However, he realized that his spiritual energy could not go beyond 100 meters. He could not even hear Yu who was 100 meters away. She even turned a deaf ear to him. Jiang Chen was completely speechless. The mist seemed to be no different from ordinary mist, but it had isolated him from the surface of the underground river. This made Jiang Chen very angry. They could only silently look at each other from 100 meters away. The current Yu was as beautiful as a fairy. She was a beauty that could topple a kingdom. However, Jiang Chen could still recognize her at first glance. Wait for me, Yu I'll go find you now. Jiang Chen took a step forward, wanting to walk on the waves. However, he found out that it was impossible because the surrounding void seemed to have been sealed. He couldn't walk on the air at all. Fortunately, Jiang Chen saw Yu who was on a boat. He understood that if she could fly on the air, then she wouldn't need to take a boat to go to the immortal world. Jiang Chen looked around. Finally, he found a broken boat that was extremely similar to Yu's boat downstream. It was tied to a rough and ancient stone on the embankment. After untying the rope, Jiang Chen tried to move the boat forward. However, he realized that he couldn't move the boat no matter how hard he tried. He could only rely on the flow of the underground river to slowly move the boat forward. Jiang Chen was extremely anxious, but there was nothing he could do. His invincible Emperor Realm soul was greatly restricted at this moment. This damned place is too strange. Jiang Chen looked at Yu from afar. However, the two of them were separated by 100 meters. At that moment, he hoped that Yu could turn around and take a look. Perhaps she could see his existence. However, he didn't know when they would reach the shore with their snail-like speed. Yu was still more than half the distance to the shore. The furthest distance in the world. I'm standing in front of you, but you don't know that I'm here. Jiang Chen was incomparably anxious. Looking at the slow boat moving forward, Jiang Chen was on the verge of collapsing. At this moment, the mist was getting thicker and thicker. The surrounding mist was also getting bigger and bigger. They were separated by 100 meters. In the end, Jiang Chen couldn't see any traces of Yu's boat gradually turned hazy in front of him. Jiang Chen's heart was getting more and more anxious. 1,000 miles of mist. Dusk. Chu Tianqua. Since ancient times, sentimental people have been sad about parting. How could they neglect the autumn festival? Jiang Chen was getting more and more worried. He lost track of Yu. He was getting more and more anxious. However, he couldn't do anything. Suddenly, Jiang Chen felt that his boat was hit hard. Then, he looked at the murky and cold water. However, he couldn't find anything. However, in a moment, when Jiang Chen lowered his head again, skeletons climbed onto the boat. Jiang Chen's eyes turned cold. He kicked the skeletons into pieces. However, more and more skeletons rushed up from the underground river. Jiang Chen held the heavenly dragon sword in his hand. With a slash, several skeletons were smashed into pieces. Damn it! A centipede dies but doesn't fall down. You've already turned into skeletons, but you still want to cause trouble. Jiang Chen snorted coldly. His means were extremely powerful. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of skeletons were smashed under Jiang Chen's sword. However, as more and more skeletons came out of the water, thousands of skeletons rushed up from within 30 meters of Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen felt his scalp tingling. These skeletons all had the strength of a hierarch realm. If it wasn't for the myriad chi body's continuous recovery, he would have been dragged to death by these guys. However, it was not a good idea to be dragged down by them. Jiang Chen came up with a plan. Once the 5 elements divine fire came out, the heavenly fire swept across the riverbank. The divine fire could not be extinguished by the underground river. As soon as the divine fire came out, Thousands of skeletons were all ignited. In the end, they were burned to ashes and dissipated in the underground river. Jiang Chen turned the 5 elements divine fire into 5 lamps and stood on the left and right side of the boat. Those skeletons only stopped and did not manage to climb onto the boat in the end. However, Jiang Chen didn't know if Xueqi was also attacked like this at this moment. Although the skeletons had been blocked outside, the small boat was still on the verge of collapsing from the impact. Streaks of green ghostly shadows rushed towards them. Chapter 3453. Buddha's Radiance Illumination. Jiang Chen struck out a seal, but those ghostly figures were not affected at all. They broke through the impact of the Buddha's Radiance Illumination. The seal dissipated, but they were still like a hot knife through butter, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, wanting to attack Jiang Chen. "You're courting death, a bunch of stubborn fellows." Although Jiang Chen's soul power could not spread out, his soul-stealing divine technique still had a miraculous effect. Soulless annihilation. Jiang Chen's body trembled, his soul was like a sword, scattering in all directions. All the thousands of attacking souls were directly annihilated by Jiang Chen, dissipating into nothingness. Puff! Jiang Chen also spat out a mouthful of blood. Because of the attack just now, the burden on him was too great. Thousands of Hierarch Realm expert souls were attacking him, making him feel quite uncomfortable. Jiang Chen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His expression was solemn as he looked around. Except for the sound of flowing water in the underground river, it was so quiet that it was a little scary. In front of him was a dark space that was filled with mist, completely unable to see any light or shadow. The surrounding skeletons were still colliding with each other. Jiang Chen's small boat was swaying, moving forward with difficulty. However, the small boat that looked simple and crude was unusually sturdy. Facing the countless attacks from the skeletons, the boat did not capsize. It was a rare sight. After half a day, the skeletons gradually retreated. The smoke and mist also gradually dissipated, and the surroundings became clear again. In front, Xueqi's small boat had already reached the shore, but Xueqi had disappeared without a trace, her whereabouts unknown. Jiang Chen's expression became solemn again. Xueqi's figure had completely disappeared from his sight. Jiang Chen was still very worried. He did not know how terrifying the Gate of Heaven's Will was, but he did not wish for Xueqi to become another person, a person that she did not like. When Jiang Chen was finally about to reach the riverbank, ghostly wails and wolf-like howls could be heard from every corner, stimulating Jiang Chen's soul. It was as if every scream and sharp cry was tearing his nerves apart. Jiang Chen firmly guarded his mind. At this moment, his Emperor Realm soul was filled with a domineering side. Practically all spiritual energies couldn't cause any harm to it. Jiang Chen maintained an extremely calm posture. No matter what, he wouldn't budge. The martial Emperor Realm soul suppressed all the wails and howls. Finally, after another half a day, Jiang Chen's boat finally reached the shore. On the other side of the river, there was a stone bridge. Below the stone bridge was a bottomless abyss, and the stone bridge was made up of stone blocks. The stone blocks were connected to the abyss, causing people to worry. If they weren't careful, they would fall into the bottomless abyss. At this moment, Jiang Chen once again saw Xueqi in front of him. Within the mist on the stone bridge, Xueqi couldn't move an inch. She wanted to take a step forward, but she hesitated and eventually retracted her foot. This repeated many times, causing Jiang Chen to furrow his brows. This was because Xueqi's eyes were closed, and she couldn't see her surroundings. It was as if someone had bound her eyes. Jiang Chen was afraid that Xueqi would fall too far and shatter into pieces. The space here was filled with restrictions, making it impossible for them to fly. "Watch out!" Jiang Chen exclaimed. He followed the stone bridge, taking one step at a time. But when he stepped on the first stone block, the scenery in front of him completely changed. It turned into a surging ocean, a flourishing ancient forest, a sun, moon, mountains and rivers, and a tsunami. This is a step to the mountains and rivers, a combination of illusion and reality. Jiang Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. He didn't know what he was going to face next. The scenery in front of him had completely changed. The mountains and rivers roared, and the waves surged endlessly. "Xueqi!" Jiang Chen called out softly. But at this moment, Xueqi heard it. "Big brother, is that you? Is it really you? Although I can't see you, I can hear your voice in the illusion. Did the heavens hear the call in my heart? Big brother, I really missed you. Xueqi murmured, but she sighed in her heart. Everything in front of her had turned into an illusion. She didn't even know which step she was taking. She was one step away from perfection. She would rather hold her big brother's hand and not be separated even in death. She was one step away from falling into the abyss, unable to survive. So she definitely couldn't believe the illusion in front of her.
Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. He also heard Xueqi's voice.
It's just that she thought that she was in an illusion, and even she had become a part of it.
Xueqi, it's really me.
I didn't dare to stop you before you entered the gate of heaven's will.
I'm here to find you.
Jiang Chen said in an incomparably serious tone.
It's too real.
Big brother, Xueqi misses you. Do you know that? But I can't believe all of this. Everything in front of me is just an illusion. One step to nothing, and it's impossible for me to recover. But I'm satisfied to be able to see you in the illusion. Big brother, promise me that you'll always be with me. Even in the illusion, Xueqi doesn't want to leave you.
Xueqi's low voice made Jiang Chen's heart ache.
But Xueqi didn't believe that she was real. She still thought that she was an illusion. This made Jiang Chen not know whether to laugh or cry.
What do I have to say to make you believe me?
I've already noticed you when you were crossing the river. But you couldn't hear me no matter how I called out to you. The illusion in front of you is one step real, and the other is an illusion.
You must be careful.
Jiang Chen was helpless, but he still didn't want to give up. He cautiously warned. I know that you're the shadow in my heart. Illusions are born from the heart.
I understand that.
My soul realm has already reached the half-step emperor realm. Ordinary illusions can't trap me. Big brother, I know that you're somewhere, praying for me. I'll definitely overcome all the dangers and get out of here. I won't forget you, I definitely won't. In the depths of her emotions, Xueqi's tears dripped down. At this moment, no one saw her crying, no one knew what kind of state she was in, and no one knew how much she longed to see her big brother. However, all of that was fake. It was all just a figment of her imagination.
I'll always be here by your side.
Jiang Chen's eyes were slightly red. At this moment, he didn't speak anymore. To Xueqi, his existence was no longer important. He would always be in her heart. He would never be forgotten. She used all her strength just to remember him in her heart.
I know, big brother. You'll always support me from behind. But Xueqi really misses you. Really, really. Xueqi's heart ached.
Because she didn't know if she would ever see her big brother again. But even if she used all her strength, she wouldn't forget him.
Chapter 3454.
Xueqi knew that it was impossible for her to see her big brother again. Being able to hear his voice in the illusory realm was a rather encouraging thing. At the very least, it could give her boundless strength, allowing her to be comforted in this lonely gate of heaven's will.
Jiang Chen didn't say anything else.
He only silently looked at Xueqi, silently protecting her. At this moment, he didn't say anything else. Since she still felt that he was just an illusion in her heart, it was useless for Jiang Chen to say anything else. He was already satisfied as long as he could silently look at her, accompany her, and walk through this difficult gate of heaven's will. Xueqi's every word and action affected Jiang Chen's heart. However, they were so close yet worlds apart. Xueqi wasn't willing to believe that her big brother was by her side. Jiang Chen knew that Xueqi missed him too much. Furthermore, she didn't believe that he was here. After all, only the people of the Hellion clan could enter the gate of heaven's will. Furthermore, not everyone could enter it. Jiang Chen's existence was definitely in the illusory realm. Furthermore, she was already in the illusory realm. Therefore, no matter what Jiang Chen said, he couldn't change the illusion in Xueqi's heart. At this moment, Jiang Chen's face drastically changed. That's because an incomparably huge illusion of a skeleton had appeared above their heads. The entire skull was 100 feet wide, covering the sun and the sky. Blazing flames danced in its deep blue pupils. Its mouth was constantly closing as it approached Jiang Chen and Xueqi. At the same time, beneath their feet, beneath the stone pillar, there were terrifying octopuses that were wriggling their long tentacles, as if they were constantly climbing up the stone pillar. As the giant skull approached, Jiang Chen felt an even stronger spiritual pressure. This fellow was indeed not simple. Jiang Chen couldn't tell if this scene was an illusion or reality. However, he understood one thing. If he fell in the illusion, then he wouldn't be able to return to reality. This was the terrifying aspect of an illusion. Furthermore, this was the ancestral land of the Hellion clan, the place where several Emperor Realm experts died. How could it be ordinary? Jiang Chen didn't dare to be negligent. He firmly guarded his mind, stabilized his Dao platform, and leisurely Dao accumulation. With his Emperor Realm soul, he resisted the spiritual pressure of the giant skull. Jiang Chen stabilized the situation. At least the skull didn't continue to approach. However, Yu-Er was different. Her soul realm couldn't be as strong as his. He could clearly see that Yu-Er was brandishing her claws and fangs, as if she was desperately struggling. From this, it could be that the scene in front of her was definitely more terrifying than what he had imagined. "Yu-Er!" Jiang Chen exclaimed. He took a step forward, but beneath his feet was a bottomless abyss. However, Jiang Chen couldn't care less. He ran with all his might towards Yu-Er, but he couldn't reach her no matter how hard he tried. There seemed to be an endless distance beneath his feet. Even the earth-shrinking technique was useless. Jiang Chen watched as Yu-Er was constantly being attacked. Her soul power was wailing in pain, causing Jiang Chen to be incomparably furious. Soul destruction and soul snatching. Jiang Chen had no choice but to use all of his strength. He rushed towards the incomparably huge skull. At that moment, Jiang Chen finally forced the phantom bear to retreat. An extremely terrifying soul power collided. Jiang Chen finally heaved a sigh of relief. Yu-Er also seemed to have calmed down a lot, no longer as crazy as before. Jiang Chen could confirm that this phantom bear was an ancestor of the Hellion clan. As for why it became like this and almost devoured Yu-Er, Jiang Chen couldn't understand. Wasn't the Gate of Heaven's Will the Hellion clan's ancestral land? Wasn't it said that the Gate of Heaven's Will was the Hellion clan's ancestral land? However, ever since he entered the Gate of Heaven's Will, all Jiang Chen saw was endless danger. If he was the slightest bit careless, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. Foolish fellow, you actually want to resist. With my spiritual sense, it's enough to kill you. A torrential soul aura permeated the entire underground space. Jiang Chen was constantly being compressed and squeezed. It was extremely difficult for him. At this moment, Yu-Er finally sensed that something was wrong. There's someone else here other than me? No, that's not right. Big brother, is it really you? Yu-Er suddenly turned her head around. Just now, when she suffered an extremely powerful soul attack, she saw that she was about to fall. However, when she finally obtained her spiritual sense, it was pushed away and she retreated. Yu-Er sensed that something was wrong. When she turned her head around, she couldn't see anything. She could only sense the existence of Jiang Chen from the voice. I've said it many times, you just don't believe me. Jiang Chen bitterly smiled. His voice was like a great bell, afraid that Yu-Er couldn't hear his voice. However, at this moment, Yu-Er was already sobbing. So, all of this wasn't an illusion. Big brother is here. He's really here. Moreover, he entered the Gate of Heaven's Will, so he should be at the highest level? In order to not let me suffer alone. Yu-Er's tears flowed continuously. Her heart was filled with incomparable bitterness, excitement, and mixed feelings. She didn't know if she should be happy or in pain. After all, this barren land was filled with danger. She could already feel that this wasn't some inheritance land, but a purgatory on earth. She had thousands of words to say to her big brother, but she didn't have the chance. Right now, the incomparably terrified giant skeleton's eyes were flickering with a crystal demonic light. It seemed to be filled with rage towards Jiang Chen and wanted to kill him. Big brother, you must be careful. Yu-Er didn't have time to say anything. In this dangerous situation, the only thing she could do was to protect herself. She didn't want her big brother to be distracted. That was the best way to help her big brother. Don't worry, it won't be that easy for the spiritual sense to kill me. The corner of Jiang Chen's mouth curled into a cold smile. His eyes were like torches as he looked at the giant skeleton. His heart was incomparably solemn. At this moment, life and death were separated by a single thought. He couldn't slack off for even a moment. You're truly naive and foolish. Do you really think that you can escape from my grasp? You're just daydreaming. In this Gate of Heaven's Will, I'm the ruler. Who can escape from my palm? After billions of years, you're just a drop in the ocean.
If I want to kill you, it'll be as easy as taking something from my pocket. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.